So you know how you have one of those days? I can already tell you today. Today is going to be one of those days. Today has shitty day written all over it. There is a big part of me that deep down inside says I should just go back to bed. Because it's going to be one of those days. When the first thing that happens in your day is you have to deal with somebody stupid. It's a pretty good indicator that it's going to be a bad day. For those of you that didn't hear the story last week, somehow my credit card, my debit card number got compromised. Now, I don't even actually have any idea how this could have happened. I don't use my debit card. I carry a debit card with me in case I need to get cash, which I very rarely do anyway, because what I'll usually do is piss off a store and walk in and buy like a bag of chips and a soda, and then I'll get like $50 back, and it pisses them off, but I don't really care. Don't really care. But I never use my debit card. I haven't used my debit card in probably 8 months. I haven't needed cash where I can't go somewhere, because the only two major places that I ever go, right, is I go on base if I need to get something, and my bank is on base, and they're so never busy. Oh shit. They're so never busy there that as long as you don't try to go at lunchtime, you can walk in and get, like, the teller already knows who you are when you're walking in. So, like, on my way in, the teller is already filling out the little slip of paper. They don't even make you fill out the little slip of paper there. They fill it out for you at the counter. So I either go there, or in town, there's a bank branch. And again, as long as it's not lunchtime or quitting time, you're in and out of the bank in like 2 seconds. So I never use my debit card. So it's not like somebody got my debit card number. Like the way a couple of months ago somebody stole my Discover card number, and they bought $1,500 worth of Louis Vuitton perfume. Which, you know, there's a whole discussion in there to be said. Do you want to say good morning to people? Come here. Fine, be a jerk. There's a whole conversation in there that, you know, they should verify a $1,500 purchase. You know, I'm just saying, if you're buying $1,500 worth of stuff and not shipping it to your house, you would think that somebody might want to call back and verify. But hey, what do I care? Okay, stop. Come here. Come here. The people want to see you. Gotcha. I got him. He's gonna sit here. He thinks he knows something's up. He hears me talking. He's gonna what he's gonna do is he's gonna run circles around me all morning. He's gonna bonk me and claw me, and when I try to show him off, he's gonna run away. But I got him. Because he's not fast enough on the tile floor. Boy. This is the only morning of the week where I get up as early as I do. So when I get up, he gets disturbed. He gets bothered, and he has to get up, so he doesn't like it. But anyway, so I called. First thing, it was I noticed this fraudulent charge on my debit card last week. So I called the bank last week, and they were able to say with the certainty that it's my card, not my wife's card. So they're like, all right, we've deactivated your card. We're shipping you the new one. So this must have been Thursday, because the new card was here Friday morning. Fine. But then the transaction didn't post on Friday morning. So I had to call in this morning, and I'm sitting there waiting on hold forever. And then she says, oh, well, there's a bunch of things we have to fill out. Well, no, there's a bunch of things you need to fill out. She's like, well, I need to ask you a bunch of questions. I was like, well, why didn't you ask me these questions last week, you know, when I had time and I'm not trying to be somewhere? I told her, I was like, hey, I have an appointment to keep. So get through the questions quickly. Did you write your PIN number on your card? First of all, do people really do that? Do people really write their debit card PIN number on their cards? Did you give the card to anybody? No. I could maybe see that. I could maybe see older people writing their debit card number on their card. You know, I could maybe see that, but not a very wise idea. What's up, Dream Glides? So no, that was my morning. That was my morning dealing with stupidity. And then I had to ask him about a transaction, another transaction on their thing, and I said, "Hey, what's this transaction?" "I don't know. I think it could be." "Hey, do you think maybe you could look that up for me?" You hear about Gamigo hiring programmers? It's not Archeage 2. Gamigo doesn't have the rights to produce an Archeage 2. Gamigo hiring programmers, administrators, community managers. I think you mean XL Games. I don't think Gamigo. I didn't see anything that Gamigo is doing a big hiring thing. XL Games did. But no, Gamigo couldn't make an Archeage 2 because Gamigo certainly doesn't have the rights to the intellectual property. Gotta remember, it's all... careers at Gamigo. Junior full-time manager, Hamburg, staff accountant, tax manager, French speak. These are all support staffs. That's all support staffing. USA. Staff accountant, web developer, social... Where are you seeing programmers, administrators, I see administrators, community managers, marketing. I see all that. But where do you see... Yeah, they don't have a huge hiring... they don't have a huge hiring group for programmers. It's not like the Blizzard site where when Blizzard is opening a new game or they're going to toy around with a new game. Concept developer. See. Trust me, yeah, those jobs are all support staff. They're not those are all those aren't developers. Those are all support staff for what Gamigo does as a publisher. Blizzard is selling info. Okay, who are we? Yeah, XL Games is talking 2 new projects. So that's why I said Gamigo is the distributor. XL Games is the Gamigo is the distributor of Archeage. XL Games is the developer of Archeage. XL Games has announced 2 new projects. And one of them is a top-down ARPG, one of them is an MMO. Is it true they killed Pay to Win with the Hiram set? They didn't kill it, but they certainly took a big chunk out of it. And when we get to today's show topic, we're going to talk about how do you make a true free-to-play game. Yeah, Korea has Eternal Hiram. I dug into that. I don't ever see on the Amigo website where they made an announcement that they weren't going to do that. They had an announcement that said we're not going to do that. They made an announcement where they said, "Hey, we've decided to not let you go all the way up to Eternal at the top for the time." Apparently, they turned around and said, "Fuck it, let's do it." I saw somebody say, I always find it funny when peeps check out a game dev studio recruiting as if it's indication of a new game. It's not necessarily indicative of a new game just because they throw up a bunch of job listings. That's absolutely true. But it was funny the way the Blizzard snafu for World of Diablo got leaked. For those of you that don't know this, Blizzard put up 3 job postings in a single day, and they came down very quickly, and then when they went up several hours later, they went up edited. But the original job posting said, we are looking for a lead game designer, a project manager, and like one other job. And then in the job requirements, and we're looking for a lead game designer, a project manager, a creative director, I think, for a new MMO For the requirements, it listed out all the requirements, and it said MMO experience, blah, 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 blah. All these things indicative of an MMO. And then the desirable skills or traits or characteristics, however Blizzard puts that at the bottom, it was knowledge of the Diablo intellectual property. So when you rub all those, things together and you mix them up, what you get is you get a pretty good indicator that they were looking to start hiring at least the base team for a new MMO based on Diablo. Now, they very quickly pulled those job listings down and rewrote them a little bit. But the truth is, if you already posted them and people saw them, it's at least indicative that you're bringing a team of people together to talk about possibly doing a World of Diablo. Now, does that mean that a World of Diablo is going to be given and automatic? No, not at all. Not at all does it mean that a World of Diablo is going to be coming. What it means is they might, Blizzard might pay, $1 million, $2 million in salary to people to come in, spend a year thinking about it. Can we do it? What would it look like? What could we like? People forget that huge game companies spend money to bring staff on to brainstorm. So yeah, spitball some ideas. I mean, this happens all the time. Now, what the indicator is when a new game is coming is if they were to list out 200 positions all at one time that all said MMO experience and familiarity with the Diablo intellectual property. Because you don't to put it in different terms, because I don't want to have somebody jump in here and be like, oh, they're talking about Diablo MMO. Say Palladium Books finally got off their ass and made a MMORPG based on their tabletop books. First of all, I think that game would blow up the market, because Kevin Zambada and his staff and Palladium Books in the Palladium Megaverse is such well-written shit. And the mechanics are fairly balanced. The tabletop mechanics are fairly balanced in a not balanced sort of way. Like, the shit makes sense, but it starts from the position of this shit ain't balanced. Now that I've told you this shit ain't balanced, let me tell you why it makes sense. And by the time you're done, you're like, alright, I get it. It's cool. But you could make an MMORPG based on that tabletop game. But you would know it was going to happen if a major studio released 200 job positions with extra characteristics. Familiarity with the Palladium tabletop series a plus. Morning. Same with Warhammer 40k, such a good tabletop, but never got the video games right. Yeah, we talk about it all the time, and one of the baseline things in video game design and development is you talk about balance almost immediately. You talk about balance and fairness and equality and what all these words mean and how you're going to develop it. And the truth is, you have to be able to very simply explain your concept. Because if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it thoroughly. You have to understand most projects fail in development. I won't say most. I will say a lot. I won't say most. Most projects don't fail. Most projects, yeah, it's a lot, certainly. But it's not most. Now, what I don't like, I appreciate lurking. Lurking's always good. What I don't like, and I agree with you, the word fail, we have to kind of peel the word fail apart. What does fail mean? Never launch or never reach its full potential. The problem is now with Steam, there's piles of shit games that are on Steam that 10 years ago, you know, when there was a minimum standard, these games would never get out there. Like, people beat me up all the time. And I stopped doing game reviews because I'm busy. Because I'm busy. And I'm tired of beating the shit out of small studios, but at the same time, these small studios need to get the shit beat out of them because you're releasing a game for $15.99 that looks like trash and plays like trash. And you wonder why. Like, your online PvP game has never had more than 6 concurrent players. You're charging $14.99 for it, and then you beat up my game review. You come and try to pick a fight with me because I called your game a pile of shit. Well, your game's a pile of shit, I'm sorry. If it had any redeeming qualities, I would have spoken of those redeeming qualities, but it had none. I'm sorry. Why would you develop a game before having planned concepts? Because a lot of people, honestly, what they do is they put the cart before the horse. They put the cart before the horse and they start doing and touching and feeling, and they haven't done any thinking. This is the first class. I'm auditing a degree in game design and development because I want to be able to understand, because it's real easy. I mean, it's real easy for somebody to say, well, Jay, you don't have any experience in the game design world. Well, now that's not true because I got a little bit, you know, because I talk with people a lot. I offer ideas, suggestions, feedback, constructive criticism. I get to see stuff, and so I get to see stuff behind the scenes, and once you start seeing a little bit of that, then you start to, you know, go and do, if you're an intellectual, you start to go and do a little research. Well, anybody can pick up a book, right? Anybody can pick up a book and go read it. Anybody can go down to their local college and start the introductory classes to game designs. But if you don't have more than one thought, about how things are going to work, and you don't understand that everything in a game is interconnected. Every single thing in a game is interconnected. And if you don't understand how those interconnections are going to work, then shit doesn't work well. For example, Archeage, when it originally released, had guild sizes of 1,500 people. Okay? Why in the fuck did you need 1,500 people in one guild? Because all that was going to do was form Zergs. That was all it was going to do. Then they decided to drop that 1,500 down to 100. Okay. But then you still had 100 people in a guild, but you had max raid sizes of 50. Okay. It took them years. Hold on one second. My cat's being an asshole. Sorry. My cat's being an asshole. He's kicking his little sister out of the sunbed. And that doesn't work for me because it's her bed. But, so Archeage has Archeage has 1,500 people in a guild, then they drop it to 100 people in a guild, but then the raid size was still only 50. So now you have 2 independent raids trying to operate together because they're not all together. Then they dropped guild size to 50, but they made it so you could join 2 raids. So Archeage from the very beginning has never had a really linear thought process. They've had a lot of ideas. This idea over here, this idea over here. Like if you remember castle sieges were set up so that the defender had the advantage of the cannons, but the attackers had the advantage in numbers for the first 20 minutes. Again, I have no doubt that somebody thought that was a good idea on paper in Korea during development. But why do you have it set up in such a way that the defenders are at a numerical disadvantage for only 20 minutes? And then at the 20-minute mark, if you were ever defending a castle, all you had to do was survive the first 20 minutes. And then once you survived the first 20 minutes, it became almost impossible. If they hadn't breached your lodestone area in the first 20 minutes before you got your defensive reinforcements, it was almost impossible for them to win. Because you had the advantage of the castle, and now you had equal numbers. Most MMOs are a nightmare to develop for, to be honest. Yeah. Most MMOs are a nightmare to develop for because most people, it's ready, fire, aim. You pull the trigger before you've thought about all the consequences. The only companies right now that I know of that are doing it right are the companies that are putting everything out there and letting people see it. Not the whole world, but they've picked and chosen, people to look at the stuff while it's in development. And a lot of people get this opinion that, well, you're being negative. Well, fuck yes, I'm being negative. You don't need me to say, attaboy, looks great. That's what your mom, your dad, your wife, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your friends. That's what all those people are for. All those people are there to prop you up. I'm there to keep telling you, this doesn't sound plausible. This doesn't sound like a good idea. This doesn't sound like a good idea. You need to walk me through this. Yeah, you need negativity. Allows for constructive criticism. It's like I tell everybody in my network, if you want to say something sucks, say it sucks. But if somebody asks you, well, why does it suck? Be able to articulate why you think it sucks. Wow, there are a lot of people out here mining this morning. Don't just be of the opinion that something sucks. Be able to say it sucks and here's why. Like I said, 100-person guild but 50-person raids. That kind of sucks because that means if there's very rarely do you have 100% of your guild online, but you have 70 people in your guild online. You go to do a guild event, 50-person raid. You have a 50-person main raid and a 20-person, you're the leftovers. You're the B string. Well, that affects people. That affects people being told, you suck, go be on the B team. I mean, you don't want to be on the B team. Let's see. The raid size is only a problem for Miss Merrill Quest and CRGR and all that. I don't think the 50 raid size was a problem. At least it was a problem for my guild. It was a problem for my guild for a long time. Because you're trying to do, say, when we were trying to do Abyssal or Delphinid Ghost Ships, we would have a 50-person raid, and then we'd have like 10, 12 people in a secondary raid. And it was just a bad game design. It was a bad game design. Now that guilds are 50 people, and max raid size is 100, then it works. It works fine, other than the fact that you end up having more than one guild, which is problematic in and of itself. But that's one of those things. That is definitely one of those things that when these games come out, it's pretty clear they haven't thought about everything from the word go. It's like they do a core viable product, and then they double back and they think to themselves, okay, what else can we add to it? What else can we add to it? Fresh start coming? Not that we know of, not officially. I don't disagree. 100-person guild is way better. 100-person guild is definitely way better. But it's like, I'm gonna use Ashes for an example. The size of your guild should have some relevance to the rest of your content. So what I mean by that is the only game I can talk of right now that's in design and is kind of fluid is Ashes of Creation. They originally wanted to have upwards of 500 versus 500 in their castle sieges. 500 versus 500 is a lot of people. Is a lot of people to put into one scheduled event. That's a lot of people put into one scheduled event. But if you have 500 versus 500 and you have a 300-person guild cap, that works. Because what that means, if you're working on a premise of you need allies, So big castle fight is 500 versus 500. The most you can have in your guild is 300. So you're gonna have allied guilds. Now they could just be your gaming organization under a second guild name, or it's because you need to actually have friends in game. But what doesn't work is if your castle siege is 500 versus 500 and your your castle siege is 250 versus 250, but your guild size is 300. Well, then your entire idea of needing allies goes away, because I have a buffer above the number. So only need 250 people. I can have 300 in my guild. I don't need allies. Ashes lost my grandma because supposedly we're going to be more PvE and then caravans were going to be PvP, and I guess people are creating it now. No. That is a complete falsity. Ashes was never going to be more PvE. New people aren't making it, so that is an example of somebody being misinformed. Caravans were always going to be PvP. Caravans from day one have always been on the PvP content. Well, if it's what you heard, I mean, you got to go and tell me where you heard it from, because I mean, there's people who are informed. There's two types of gamers out there. There's gamers out there that say what they know, and there's gamers out there who say it how they want it to be, and by saying it, they hope that they can will it into existence. Like, I get people tell me all the time, like, people tell me that Ashes or Archeage is this type of game, and I'm like, how long have you been playing? And they're like, well, 2 months. And I was like, okay, well, come back to me in like 4 years. Come back to me in like 4 years and tell me what kind of game Archeage is. Let me catch back up a little bit. Let's say XL makes a sequel or some kind of new MMORPG. Do you think they have to... What do you think they have to get right if they want the game to succeed? They have to get a lot right. And that's kind of like today's show is... If you want to make a free-to-play game, I understand that free-to-play games are the rage, right? I understand that that's what game... Number 2, you want to come say hello? I know you got mad I kicked you out of the bed. Here's number 2. Oh, you angry. He's angry. He got picked on. Alright, go play. I know everybody else is sleeping. Go find your brother. Go play kitten tag or something. I would probably not play another Asian Probably not play another Korean free-to-play, pay-to-win game. I just probably wouldn't do it. I'm having fun in Final Fantasy 14. There's, you know, I already had bought the expansion packs last summer and then just never got around to playing them because, you know, I was still jonesing for Archeage because I was looking for something to fill the Archeage itch. I left Archeage because I couldn't stand Tryon. So I wasn't done with Archeage. I'm pretty well winding down on Archeage now. I'm hanging out here, and I'll answer the question about Def Pen in a second. But I'm hanging out here because I'm still holding on. I'm still holding on that they will magically come out and fix the game, but I doubt it. Once the 30% self-heal nerf comes in, that will probably be the nail in the coffin for me. I don't wanna deal with that. I think again, I've said it, I want people to understand. It's on the principle that it's a self-heal nerf. I would not care if they nerfed healing 30% across the board. I think if they nerfed healing 30% across the board, they would realize that it is way too much. But I don't want to dick around with the next 6 months of them tweaking healing because they do 30% self heal and nothing for raid heals. Nerf all healing by 10%. See if it fixes the problem. Let's see. 30-man endgame geared players, free farm Jakar and Taurus. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with a game like Archeage. I show it all the time, but even in the top 100, let me just do Kadem. In the top 100 on Kadem, we won't use the first person, we'll use the next person down. 15,003 all the way to 12,008. That is a huge difference in power for just your top 100. So, yeah. You likely don't get the game done if you try thinking of everything, and some stuff takes testing, like even to find the optimal guild size. Well, yeah, I agree with you, but there's some things that if you fuck up, you fuck up. And that's what... Here's the big thing. You said it earlier, a lot of games fail. A lot of games fail. A lot of games fail to ever get out of development. A lot of games fail to ever reach their full potential. Because here's the thing. There's a lot of people making games that have no business making games. There are a lot of people out there that don't have all of the requisite skill sets. A lot of these small studios, the lead game designer tries to be the lead programmer, tries to be the lead this, the lead that. I mean, here's the thing in the simplest of terms. You wear many hats at a game design studio. At a small game design studio, you wear many hats. But the truth of the matter is, the guy who designs the shit doesn't ever have to sit at a computer. The guy who sits at a computer doesn't need to actually ever create anything game design wise. The way it could work is I could go to a team of programmers, never sit at a computer and say, I want to do this. And then that's when the lead programmer says, Jay, that's not even in the realm of feasible. We're 10 years from that technology. If I said, like, Camelot Unchained is supposedly had 5,100 people on the screen at one time, I don't believe them. I don't believe them because I don't think the average user's hardware at their home is going to allow them to have 5,100 people meaningfully rendered on their screen. But they say we have 5,100 simultaneous bot and human connections to a single battlefield. Okay, that's great. Fucking EVE Online has 6.1K with time dilation playing at PowerPoint spreadsheets. I think too many people try to do too many things that they're not good at. I'm not going to sit here and try to learn how to code. Not what I want to do. I do have an entire notebook and, you know, I have hundreds of pages of documents of game design and theory and if I won the lottery, what I would like an MMO to look like. But then I would hire people to tell me, hey, is this even feasible? Is this feasible? The other problem people have is they try to make a game that's going to be enjoyable by everybody. That's just not going to work. You have to try to slice off part of the market. Samurai RXX, defense pen is good now for archers. Yes, def pen is good for archers if you build your build around a def pen build. So you get 50, you don't try to stack crit damage. You just stack def pen. You want to be as close to 100% crit rate as you can, and then you stack def pen. The problem with archers still is that your base damage is a little bit on the low side. So by the time it goes through all of its mitigation, I mean, an archer's never going to kill somebody in... An archer's going to struggle to kill somebody in plate. An archer is never going to kill a healer in plate. One-on-one, an archer is never going to kill a healer in plate. It's just not going to work. Def pen with crit rate is not working. If you go with def pen, go with attack speed. The problem is you can't get def pen and attack speed. A lot of the places where you would get attack speed, you have to choose between def pen and attack speed. And if you do that, you need to go all in on def pen. If you're not going to go all in on def pen, don't bother going in on def pen. Later, Zybek. Yeah, if you have to make a choice between if you have to make a choice between def pen and attack speed, and you start mixing and matching, it's not going to work. Plus, for archers you don't archers don't want to go attack speed in North America and EU. The reason why it works in Korea is because their ping is so low that attack speed actually helps them cycle more arrows. That's one of those ones that I told people, you got to be careful if you're looking at a Korean build and you're trying to apply a Korean build to North America. Yeah, KC, he can stack attack speed in Korea because his ping is so low. Attack speed's going to let him get extra cycles of endless arrows off, or extra arrows from the next cycle in the same first second. But I mean, shit, when you have it set up so badly in North America that you can barely get all 5 of your arrows out for one cycle in 1 second, and stacking attack speed's not going to help you. Because I did it on the show when 5.3 came out. I had my attack speed like damn near close to 1,000, and it really wasn't helping. And since attack speed is now capped at 2,000, yeah, you have to have that. You have to have that low ping. So maybe if you're living in Texas, you have 361 attack speed. You have 43. Yeah, you are. I mean, if you have a bard near you, you don't really need to gem out for attack speed because you're gonna get, you're gonna hit that cap. Attack speed is unbelievably good with flame endless arrows. Yes, I agree with you on that one. But the reason why attack speed works with flame endless arrow is there's more room for benefit right off the bat with it. Because the base attack speed is slower, so you're going to feel that benefit more by stacking attack speed. Regular endless arrows, you're not going to feel it as much because it's already, the cycle speed is already so low. Now, if you have good ping, then yeah, absolutely, stack attack speed. Yeah. And I mean, the problem is, I did all the numbers, I did all the math. Archers versus plate, God help you, but nothing's gonna help you. Nothing's gonna help you. Let's go up. Archeage was one time ago meaningful PvP with trade packs and stuff. That's true. I mean, I used to enjoy the occasional jacking of a trade ship. Now the game has become too theme park. And here's the thing, and so that people understand my mentality. If I'm going to be playing a game that's basically a theme park, I'm going to go play a better theme park game. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. If I'm going to have to play a game that now is all instanced. There was very little open world contesting. In the future, Kadem is going to be a queuable instance like the Halcyon War is. You know, all these things. Then I'm going to go play Final Fantasy, which I find to be a better theme park game. And it's just that simple. Let's see. Problem is, if we didn't have indies, the game situation would be 10 times worse now. Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you. A game like... I will definitely agree that independent studios do a couple of things. The best thing an independent studio can ever do is come up with a game that's good enough to get bought and done by professionals. The only problem is most of the time when it gets bought, it gets ruined because big companies don't care about the players. Big companies care about the profit margin. I will use what I think is the greatest success story. Uh-oh. You two fighting over the bed. You silly people. They're cat people. 7 Days to Die is what I use as a textbook example of a success story. Launched a Kickstarter, got a very rough and basic game out. Kept building alphas, kept making the game a little better. Had about a year period where nothing came out, but the problem was Alpha, let me get the numbers right, Alpha 16.2 was definitely worth the $19.99 I think I paid for what I paid for 7 Days to Die. It was definitely worth it. So you got your money, you got your money's worth, right? You got your money's worth when you bought 7 Days to Die. And then they released Alpha 17, which didn't make everybody happy, but after playing it for a while, I think Alpha 17 was very well done. I found a lot of the hidden stuff in 7 Days to Die Alpha 17. Very well done. Very cool little side story things. The addition of quests made it worthwhile. 7 Days to Die means that there is a good zombie apocalypse building survival game on the market, which means if anybody else wants to come into that market, they've got to do better than 7 Days. Now, not everybody likes 7 Days. They don't like block building. The fun pimps listen to that, and they're starting to add some features, but it takes time. They're a small studio. They're a four-person studio, I think. Well, the question comes is, you guys have made like $50 million. Why are you still a four-person studio? That goes into a different discussion. But absolutely, independent studios changed the face of the gaming industry. Without them, you'd only be getting big company games that are done a certain way, that are done to maximize profits. You don't see any real reason for Guild to contest open world bosses? Yeah. That's because the PvP is its own world. Remember, everything in Archeage used to be contestable. Absolutely everything. There used to be a time when you would go and have to steal the other faction's CR because you could only put 50 people. Only 50 people could get CR credit at a time. So if you wanted CR credit, there were oftentimes that you had to go and jack the other faction's CR or GR. But now there's not really too much open world PvP. I'm actually really shocked that Abyssal and Luskas hasn't become a instanced event. But why has XL been adding so many instanced events? Because they ruined open world PvP by not controlling it in the early years. How many servers can tell the story of that powerhouse guild that owned it? Tryon fucked up by allowing server transfers. Server transfers did not exist for the health of the game. Server transfers existed for the health of Scott Hartzman's wallet. Because remember, we talked about it, it's $3,000. Back in the days of 100-person guilds, it's $3,000 if a guild transfers. And then that's not including if everybody transfers their alts as well. The massively gear-dependent nature of PvP is partially responsible for the decline. Yes, absolutely. Casuals and non-elites don't like being whale food. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and that's one of the things I got, you know, I always ran Paradox, but, you know, I wanted to experience endgame content, and Paradox is, well, in its past in Archeage, I couldn't always 100% guarantee that I was going to be around every single day. My life, I was a military officer, so there were days that, you know, go home at 4 o'clock. No, 4 o'clock. I've been at work for 8 hours already. My day's just starting. There were days that it's hard to be a guild leader when you can't necessarily come home all the time. And my officers did a hell of a good job. My officers kept people, you know, my officers kept people doing what they needed to do, helping people, taking care of people. But then, you know, all of a sudden out of the blue, hey, Jay, you have to be gone for 3 weeks for work. Well, fuck, man. That makes it really hard to be a guild leader. Being a guild leader is almost a full-time job if you're doing it right. If you're being a guild manager, that's not hard. But being a guild leader, that's some serious time commitment. Well, I joined a guild to do the end game content so that I didn't have to, you know, so that I didn't have to try to get there with a group of people. But the problem was we were winning all the time, and we were winning by such a huge margin that nobody wanted to come fight us. Who wants to come out and lose every single day? Captain and Major are the shittiest ranks in the military because you have to work your ass off to get that good eval so you can get 05 and be able to retire. Yeah, I mean, ding, 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 winner, winner. And the same thing now, man, and I'll do a quick jump off. Warhead, you know that the high year of tenure was changed. You can't retire as an E5 anymore. You have to make E6. Well, E5 is almost a gimme. Yeah, you have to test for it. But E6, you got to start playing that politics game. And there's people who went into the military and they want to be really good technicians. They want to be really good at their job, but they don't want to play that bullshit political game. And now you made it so you have, yeah, an E6 can only stay in for 20. So yeah, so Warhead's a fellow veteran, retiree, member of the Blue Card Mafia with me. So he knows I was a captain. I was basically at the shittiest part of my life as a guild leader. I had no choice. This sucks, and this is why I'm so happy to be retired. Everything becomes second nature to your military career when you're in the rank of 03 and 04. Everything, including your wife, including your kids. And it's bullshit, but there's the gotcha card. You don't, like he said, you don't make 05. You got to year 18 of your military career. You don't make 05. They show you the fucking door at year 18. You don't get a pension. They're like, sorry. You didn't, you know, kiss enough ass, suck enough dick, wear the knee pads often enough. You didn't volunteer enough. You didn't go out of your way enough. You got to make 05. In my case, I would have been okay because I was prioree, but for the officers that aren't prioree, they get hosed there. All right, so how do you design a true free-to-play game with no pay to win? This is the big one all the time. Oh, here you go. Let's see. I'd like to offer a counterpoint in regards to a 4-person studio. Sometimes expansion for the sake of expansion isn't good, just as feature creep can derail an MMO. More cooks in the kitchen doesn't make for a better meal. Now, this is a broad statement, but adding 5 to 10 people isn't, I'd say, expansion per se. Think about Star Citizen, for example, but a smaller team have made them more focused, who knows? But at a certain point, you prioritize income just to keep your now supersized team. True. I'll agree with that, old fat gamer. Increasing the size of your staff just to increase the size of your staff. No, I absolutely agree with you. Don't do that. Don't do that. However, if you're a 4-person staff, okay, and you have I'm gonna say $5 million. I'm gonna say the rest of the money is theirs to keep. That's profit. That's blood, sweat, tears, effort, hard work, hustle, the paycheck, the bounty. That's everything. I forgot to open my dailies before I went mining, didn't I? Yep. Way to go, champ. Way to go. But take 5 million of that money and say that 5 million of it goes back into redevelopment. If you're still at a 4-person team and you've made that kind of money, there's got to be somebody that you can hire. There's got to be a weak link on your team of 4. And the only reason why I say that, the only reason why I say with some level of certainty is that there's at least a weak link or something that you don't do well, is because why did it take over a year to get the next expansion? There's got to be something that you could augment that would help speed up the process. Now, do I expect them to take that money and suddenly hire 15 more people and quadruple? And no, I don't. Not at all. But if you're going to take that... Oh, I probably threw all that shit in the chest. If it's going to take you that long between major alphas... Now, remember, they're still in alpha. It's alpha 17.2, I think. It's been a minute since I beat the shit out of any zombie hookers. But if you're still in alpha after this many years, it might be time to maybe, you know, look at hiring a couple of people on to at least get you into beta. You know, I'm not sure that Star Citizen is the best example. Dude, if you guys didn't see the Forbes article, I suggest you go read this, because this is a fucking oof. If I ever saw one. Gonna cooperate with me today? The Saga of Star... Here, let me link this. Who's on schedule to release? Because none of them are. None of those games are on schedule to release. There is not one MMO that's in development right now that's on schedule. Not a one. But here's the Forbes article. The Saga of Star Citizen, a video game that raised $300 million but may never be ready to play. I suggest you read through it. This is not fraud. Roberts really is working on a game, but it is incompetence and mismanagement on a galactic scale. This is a really in-depth article. The game they promised us can't even barely run. The performance is terrible. I want out. They lied to us. That's pretty oof if it made it into a Forbes article, right? By Forbes count, Cloud Imperium has sold 135 different spaceship models for as much as $3,000 each. Schedules are flexible and should change, but that's not scope project creep. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm gonna be honest. I'm really getting tired. I am really getting tired of game developers saying software development is so unique in its characteristics that we need to be forgiven for when we're late. No. If you don't understand your trade craft thoroughly, to write at least a realistic timeline, then you don't understand your trade craft enough to even be releasing timelines. The reason why I say that is, I've supervised software development. I can't code shit. But I have had projects underneath. I was the project manager, and there was software components. And there are two types of people. There are the type of people who think they can do it in a week and it's going to take them a month. And then there's people who say they need a month, but when properly motivated, they can do it in a week. The truth is, if you know how long it should take and you properly build your schedule, you should be able to... you could reasonably meet your timeline. Scope creep is going beyond your initially defined scope, which even if you don't, you would have to define it in a GDD, any dev document. True. My point is that most people don't have their game design document done properly. They don't have their game design document done properly in the very beginning. And so they end up dealing with issues later on because they didn't actually have a map. What they had was a heading. There is a huge difference between having a map. Like, I'm moving to Nevada in 5 years. Okay? I know Nevada is west by slightly southwest. That is all I know. That is not a very good way to plan my move. A very good way to plan my move is open up a map. I am here. There is there. And start doing, you know, some calculations. I don't mind when things get delayed. There is a difference in delay. And I use the Gearbox example with Aliens Colonial Marines. I absolutely love Alien Colonial Marines. I'm an Aliens franchise baby. It was, for some odd reason, me and this horror movie series clicked when I was a little kid. Absolutely love it. With that said, okay, I love the video game. I love the fact that Aliens Colonial Marines is really a sequel. It's a cinematic interactive sequel to the movie. With that said, they fucked their game up and they went bankrupt because they had a misspelling. They had a misspelling in their game. They spelt the word tether wrong. So all of the human NPCs on hard mode will beat the living shit out of you, alright? The human NPCs literally kick your ass every time you turn around. The aliens, they come out of the ceiling and they kind of just fucking derp around. Like, if you stand next to a box, the aliens don't know what to do. The aliens kind of fuck off and they'll run towards you, and then that box is in the way and they, you know, the aliens just are like, whatever. Well, when you fix it, when you go back in and you fix it, holy hell. Holy the fuck hell. Yeah, I'll grab you the, just for your own reading pleasure. There you go. But yeah, you go in and you change. If you go in and change the spelling, holy shit, let me tell you, I play it on the Ultimate Badass. And that, if you don't know the Aliens franchise, you don't know why the hardest rank is called the Ultimate Badass. But, what the fuck, why? It's like, be prepared to be kicked if you don't, be prepared to be kicked if you don't X up. Well, then the team has X'd up a bunch of times and you didn't. So whatever. But you play on the Ultimate Badass and you change the word tether, you spell it correctly, holy fuck. The aliens, you better be the Ultimate Badass because they're going to kick your ass. It's just like, I mean, Civ 6. Civ 6 had a typo in it. In 6 places in the Civ 6 code, they spelt the word yield wrong. And it radically changes how the NPCs react. If you go in, I think they've patched it now. Gearbox, Colonial Marines, you have to go in and manually patch because they don't do updates for it. But well, I don't want this shit. I don't want this shit. Get out of here. But yeah, Civ 6, when you change yield and you spell yield right, and those others, and it's the funny part is that it's spelt right in a couple of places, and it's not spelt right in the rest of the places. So when you change it, the difficulty actually gets, you know, on par with what it should be. And you would think that this is a no-brainer, right? You think to yourself, they should be able to find that. Again, a programmer is looking for where the fuck is the problem in the code. A guy like me goes in there and be like, yeah, let me go in and start looking. Hey, guys, you spelt yield wrong. You spelt tether wrong. What? Dude, you got typos. Well, what do you mean I got typos? What I mean is you spelt fucking words wrong. Is that going to be a problem? Oh shit. Yeah, man. We need to get that fixed. Well, yeah, you need to get that fixed. But that's how you make games. Specifically, how do you make a true free-to-play game with no pay to win? And I've sat here and I've thought about this concept a lot. Now remember, free to play means it cannot have a box price. It cannot have a monthly sub. The only thing it can have is nothing. And when I say a true free to play, Archeage is not a true free to play. And people are like, but I can play Archeage for free. Yes, but there is content behind a paywall in Archeage. You cannot play Archeage for free with all the features. You can spend $0 on Archeage. You as a person never need to spend $1 on Archeage. Nope. See, that's to do a true free to play. It means I can't have an optional membership either. Unless the optional membership has no pay to win. If you do an optional membership with no pay to win, then it's okay. So, for example, could you do Cosmetic of the Month? You buy this premium membership and all it does is provide you a specialized monthly cosmetic. Sure. The cosmetic can't give any tangible buffs though. Now, with that said, the trick to that is you have to have the non-BDO issue of people in game can't look like paupers without the cosmetics either. Because remember, that's the big complaint from the BDO players. They're like, well, if I don't buy a cosmetic from the cash shop, I look like trash. Doesn't Path of Exile and Warframe do exactly that? Maybe. But I don't necessarily classify... They're both MMOs. Kind of. But I don't think they're MMORPGs. Path of Exile is more a MMORPG because it's got that isometric downward Diablo style thing going on. And Warframe, I can't really speak about Warframe too intellectually because Warframe causes me to be on the border of having seizures, so I had to stop playing. My friend Snippet got me into playing Warframe, absolutely loved it, and then there was no way for me to turn the graphics settings down enough. There was no way for me to turn the graphics settings down enough that I wasn't getting migraines and then having micro seizures, so I had to be like, sorry dude, I think the game is great, I love the storyline, I think they do a lot of things really well, but I can't play it. unless there is, yeah, they're still good examples of, they're good examples of ways to get it right. Definitely ways to get it right. Unless there's zero player economy, there's no such thing as pay to win, even if the company doesn't monetize a third-party gold selling site. Yeah, I mean, that is true. Unfortunately, if you fight back against the gold sellers, they will DDoS the shit out of your servers. Because it only costs them $10 to launch a DDoS against you for 7 days. But I mean, one thing that you got to realize is they are relentless. They are absolutely relentless in their attempt to make money. I mean, you got to remember, if you guys remember Batman: The Dark Knight, where they talk about you went after the mob's life savings, these gold selling companies, this is literally how they make their living, by selling gold in games, and they don't give a shit. There is no way to stop them. You can try all you want, but there is no way to stop them. They are gonna keep fucking coming like New York cockroaches, man. There is no stopping them. So you could try. You can try. I mean, region locking, they VPN in. And so I think that, because that's real, I mean, that's kind of really where I thought the discussion was going to go today. I don't think you can create a true free-to-play for an MMORPG. Because the problem is, and you're talking, I saw somebody say something about Warframe needing inventory space. Can you not get inventory space for free? Is there no way to earn it? It can only be gotten with cash shop currency? Because that then is something that you have to consider. What about taking action against the buyers? I 100% endorse banning action against gold buyers. I think that if you banned gold buyers, you would have less of these problems, because, hey, you got banned for buying gold. Well, that sucks. I'm going to do a chargeback. And then you pay somebody $20 an hour to dispute chargebacks. And I'm going to be honest, as long as the seller does a reasonably adequate, competent job of refuting the chargeback, people don't get their money back on chargebacks. People have this opinion that you're always... Oh shit, my stuff's expired. People think that you can just do a chargeback and you automatically get your money back, and that's not how that works. If I ban you from my game for violation of the terms of service, and you go to PayPal and you do a chargeback, and then all I do is in the rebuttal from the seller, I put, yeah, Mr. Smith did have an account with us. On this date, Mr. Smith violated our terms of service by purchasing gold. PayPal, while we respect your jurisdiction in arbitrating between the client and the customer, or the vendor and the customer, this is a matter between us, and yes, it was a valid transaction, and yes, they received exactly what they purchased, and they lost access to it by violating our terms of service. Then guess what? PayPal can't refund the money. That ties PayPal's hands, and PayPal says, shit. Hey, Mr. Smith, we would love to give you your money back, but apparently, from what we're reading here, you violated the terms of service at Paradox Gaming Network's MMO, so we can't legally give you your money back. We suggest you seek. We suggest that you seek legal recourse. Yeah. And then what are you going to do? Because remember, if you're not Tryon Worlds and you actually write your EULA and your terms of service, you actually write your terms of service in your EULA in English and make it legally sufficient, PayPal can't just decide it wants to refund you. Now, PayPal could, but then guess what? If PayPal is going to take my if PayPal is going to, first of all, PayPal charges me. PayPal charges me as the vendor. The PayPal doesn't charge the customer. Do you think PayPal really cares about that? If so, why don't they do that? Because companies don't want to put anything down officially. Companies don't want to fight chargebacks because most of the time the company knows what they did is going to get them owned. For example, Tryon Worlds went out of business. Tryon Worlds went out of business probably because of the Van Fleet lawsuit. They knew that they were going to lose their ass. So why don't more companies do it? Well, because remember, what you say to PayPal in that statement becomes legally admissible. What Warhead said is, how do you prove you delivered virtual goods and services? That's where the sticking point is. If I bought a 30-day subscription, okay? If I bought a 30-day subscription to Archeage and you ban me on day 8, do you or do you not owe me 22 days prorated as a refund? I would say you owe me 22 days prorated as a refund. But it's because there are no laws to adequately govern the gaming industry. It is an industry that exists without proper recourse, without proper law. That's why a lot of times the companies say, fuck it, we don't want to get involved in it. They don't want to get involved in it. They're like, fuck it, have your money back. We're not going to dispute the chargeback. Because by not disputing the chargeback, we don't make any argument, and we don't admit fault. I mean, that's like a $2 an hour employee at Tryon tried to tell the PayPal person that Tryon's refund to me was wrong and PayPal needed to reverse the refund. Like, this is why you don't have stupid people trying to manage tickets. That's why I say you pay somebody competent $20 an hour to write the rebuttals. Literally, what the person said in my rebuttal is, PayPal, we did issue him a refund of $9.99. However, this refund was done in error. You need to reprocess the $9.99 to us. And the PayPal person was like, that's not how this works. Yeah, how do you... I mean, there's... another streamer for Archeage aired. I won't tell his story because it's not my story to tell. It's his story to tell. But he can tell you how PayPal... He was a vendor, and PayPal bit him in the ass, and it fucked him. Like, real world fucked him, and it was over a virtual good and service. I mean, I suppose what they could do is they could provide a screenshot that showed that your character received the credits. They could take a copy of, your wallet transaction. Korea doesn't do that anymore. Korea changed that about 2 years ago. Because they had issues with people using other people's, citizen numbers. Plus, technically, if somebody wanted to be a big, a big pain in the ass. You're legally not allowed to use the social security number for anything other than social security collection. That's even the military doesn't use social security numbers anymore. We now have DoD identification numbers, because part of it's fraud, but part of it is that a long time ago in a land far away, somebody said, well, you know, we're using social security numbers for a way that they were not intended. And the DoD was like, yep, well, we got to get that one fixed. But I'd be okay with phone number plus two-factor smartphone authentication, except what do you do for people who don't have smartphones? Because now you're saying in order to play the game, you must have a smartphone. Not everybody has a smartphone. Not everybody has a cell phone. Not everybody has... And then if you start making exceptions to, you know, you have to have a smartphone. Well, now you just eliminated a large portion of your child population, because not every kid has not every kid has a smartphone. Like, granted, my kids have smartphones. Well, my teenager does. All of my kids have had a phone when they turned 13, but the older two didn't have smartphones. Well, smartphones didn't exist. Yeah, Google phone can make as many numbers as needed. True. I mean, that's why I think he's saying smartphone two-factor authentication, because then you need the app. You need that. Well, actually, no, because you can install the app as well with an emulator. But that's the problem. How do you get around it? See, this is where I get a little radical. Where I get a little radical is I think that you should be able to, or that you should be required to register as a gamer. And you should have a little gamer ID card. That's just my ridiculous theory. You should have to register as an online gamer. And then if you get in trouble and you get slapped with the "you're stupid" stick, then you can't online game. But I mean, there's no way. I mean, you could try everything in the world. Gamertag registration is real. I'm for it. I'm for it too. Yeah, the problem is, like Warhead said, becomes very concerned with the maintenance and administration of this database. Yeah, I got bad news for the EU, man. I got really bad news for the EU that you guys don't see this coming yet, but it's coming. You guys are gonna get fucked. The EU is gonna get fucked with games coming up here. Because people in the EU were all excited. People in the EU were all excited, and I laugh about it because it's one of those, you're gonna get everything you want, but are you gonna want everything you're gonna get? People were like, oh, well, Amsterdam banned loot boxes. Okay. But guess what? Amsterdam had loot boxes banned, but now what is it? FIFA Live, some soccer game, they can't play. Because the way that they did it was, the way EA said, look, your country's such a pain in our ass, and it would cause us too much money. It would cause us too much money to fix how we do business. Fuck it. If your address is Amsterdam or the Netherlands, you just can't buy. No, they can't VPN because their address on their account has to match the address on their credit card. And they can't, if the credit card comes back registered to that country, then they're like, we're sorry, we can't accept this method of payment. So now it's not on EA. Um, so, you know, what, PayPal it? You can't, because your PayPal is registered to your address. It won't stay like that. It shafts too many big companies. No, what you don't understand is it doesn't shaft a big company. That's what you're forgetting. I did the research. The Netherlands and Belgium banned loot boxes. I went and did the diligence. I went and looked up how many registered online gamers they have. I went and looked up what their expenditures are. It's great to say. It is great to say, oh, well, we have 4 million MMOers in our country. Yeah, that's great. But when companies start releasing numbers for how many dollars in sales you have, so you want to cost me $3 million in order for it to take me, oh shit, I didn't even realize time it ended. You want me to spend $3 million in order for me to take 3 years to make back that amount of money because of the small expenditures in your country. I don't think so. I don't think I have any interest in doing that. That's like, if it takes me 25 cents to make $1, that's probably not a bad investment. If it takes me 90 cents to make $1, that's probably a bad investment. If it takes me $1.10 to make $1, that's not an investment. That's a loss. So, saying, oh, well, the Netherlands and Belgium, well, here's the thing. How do you get people to change the law? You get the citizens of that country to say we don't like the law. Yeah, 90 cents to make $1. Right, 90 cents to make $1 isn't a bad investment if the volume is high enough. Absolutely. But if the volume's not high enough, like, you know, I would rather, if I have my choice between 25 cents to make $1 or 90 cents to make $1, I'm gonna go with 25 cents to make $1. If I can make more profit that way, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm definitely not gonna spend $1.10 to make $1. That ain't gonna happen. I ain't gonna lose money. Now, where does it come in where you lose money? Free-to-play games. Loop this back. Why do free-to-play games exist at all? Because, and I don't even know these people. I don't know these people. But let's say, let me run up in here where there's more people. Okay? So there's some serious people up in here, right? Not a ton, but there's a serious amount of people in here. I'm going to bet that this... I'm going to bet that this is an alt. Ancestral 4, 2.6k gear score. I'm going to bet that this is an alt. Do I see their gear? Level 34, level 31. Yeah, Dawn's drop gear. I'm going to bet that this is an alt. Now here's the thing. Does this person hurt the game? No. This person doesn't hurt the game. This person existing doesn't hurt the game. This person existing actually helps the game. It is another person. It is another interactable NPC. They're a free-to-play player. They're a free-to-play player. They help influence the economy. They help influence the game. They're a body. They're a player. They help make the population look better. Oh, it's Simple J. What's up, dude? But if nobody in this room was spending any money, and nobody logged in at this point was spending any money, not a single player was spending any money, the game would die. Because you got to make money. If you're, and I guarantee you right now, if Archeage starts to cost Gamigo money, Gamigo will meet the black letter of the law of their contract. If their contract with XL Games says that they must publish the game for 3 years, and it doesn't say how many servers they need to have, they will flat merge everybody into one server NA, one server EU, and they will not give a fuck. Buy to play can work if there's like a 14 money back guarantee. See, I disagree with that. I think that the Steam concept works. I think the Steam concept works a little bit for 2 hours. I think 14 days is probably too long. Do you want to spend $40 for a game you're going to play for 2 days and never touch again? No, I don't really want to do that. But at the same time, you know, if give it 10 hours, no, probably 10's probably too long as well. I think 5 would be okay. I think 5 would be fine. 6 maybe. I think 10 on an MMO maybe, but now you start getting into that murky water of different MMOs versus, and that's where you get into the blurry lines. I think I agree that 10 hours isn't enough to scratch the surface of a good MMO, but at the same time, more and more, you're not gonna even, you know, it's hard. It's hard. Like, Final Fantasy 14 allows you to play forever up to level 30 or 35. That was a good decision. Now, granted, you're never getting to level 35 doesn't even scratch the surface. You don't know anything about the game at level. I want to actually check it out. I don't want to be off by 5 levels. Your future awaits you. Fight your way. Classes and jobs. Housing. Sign up now. It doesn't say what level. It used to be limited to 14 days. Then they changed it. You know. I want to say it's level. I want to say it's 35. 35 is sticking in my head. But yeah, it's level 35. I think that's fine. You let people play a game to level 35. The problem is you can do everything in the game, to my knowledge, to 35. Well, what do gold sellers do? They just play on the free account to level 35, play all the classes, botany, mining, all that shit, and then they sub the account. They transfer all the shit off the account, and then, you know, they'll use it for the remainder of the sub time, and then they fuck off with it. A game like that just gets difficult to stop people because you can filter stuff so many ways. Or sell it as a leveled account. Yeah, I mean, that's another one. That's another one of those simple, you know, keep it simple, stupid. How do you maintain good computer security? One of the ways you maintain good computer security is simple protections. Simple protection is you can never change, okay? You can never change the email account on an address, or you can never change the linked email account on an account. I know some people would say, well, what if? How many situations ever require you to change your email account? Now, I know back in the day, long time ago in a land far away, hey, that's the second follow. I missed the other one too. I apologize for that. So, no, that was Nightbot talking. I will say that my Final Fantasy 11 account is locked, and it's perpetually locked. And they told me I could get it back, but it would take some steps for me to get my Final Fantasy 11 account back. And I told them, you know what, guys, don't worry about it. I was gonna do Final Fantasy 11 as a one-off show last summer when I was rolling through games and comparing MMOs. The problem is that, remember back in the day you used to get your email account from your internet service provider? Well, when you didn't have the internet service provider anymore, you didn't have the you don't have the email account anymore. And I actually fucked this up. You think that I would have learned. My YouTube account is actually tied to my YouTube channel is tied to my webpage. So I actually have to contact YouTube, and I don't know how the fuck I'm going to contact YouTube. because there's like no, I've tried a couple of different times and looked for a contact us, and it's always like, was this article helpful? No. There's never an email address. I need to move my YouTube account over to a different email address. Because if I ever decide to not have paradoxgaming.net anymore, I'll have to pay like $150 a year in order to keep my YouTube account. So it was a stupid fuck up on my part. But especially when I could have just made it under any Gmail account. So the solution to that is you create throwaway email accounts to create game accounts with, and then you sell the game account, the email account goes with it. True. I mean, that is true. I mean, as long as we have free email accounts, you're always going to have that issue as well. So, I mean, there's ultimately, and as you can see, we talk about this often. Hey, JJ. We talk about this often on the show. You can't stop the problem. I honestly do not believe that you can have nice things in the world. You can't have nice things in the world because for every person who's trying to do it right, there's a person who's trying to do it the scam way. And it sucks because it stops us from having nice things. It stops us from having nice in-game economies. It stops us from having nice game experiences. I can't think of a time ever where I played an MMORPG. Hopefully there's a merchant in here, maybe. I can't think of a time where I wasn't littered with gold seller spam. There's a general one. Good. I mean, you're always gonna have gold seller spam. Yeah, people. You're always gonna have people selling accounts. I know somebody who sold the same damn Archeage account like 4 times because Tryon security was so stupid. Tryon security was so stupid. The person sold the account. And then when the next time it asked for the authenticator, the person hadn't changed the email address. So the person went in, just recovered the account, and sold it again. The first person got, literally pissed because they spent like $1,600 on an Archeage account that they had for like 4 weeks. And then they didn't do all the steps. So the person sold it, and I was like, all right, person's kind of a scumbag for doing it. But, it is what it is. Like, I don't feel bad when people breaking the rules get scammed. I feel bad when legitimate people get scammed. You're breaking the rules, you bought an account, you got scammed, you're stupid. It's just like people who buy the Blitz to max level. I know people who played Final Fantasy 14. They never ran through the storyline, but they wanted to join their friends, so they legit spent the whatever to max power level their character. And I was like, you just bought an MMO to not play the MMO. Well, I don't want to level. It's a fucking theme park. It's a theme park fucking game. Like, the whole enjoyment of the game is the leveling. Like, yeah, am I necessarily in love with leveling a DPS in a game that the DPS queue is 20 minutes and the tank queue is 20 seconds? No. But it's a game. It's meant to it's meant to be entertainment. How many hours do I have on this character? A lot. The problem is that a long time ago in a land far away, my character account got corrupted, so I had to be offline for like 48 hours while a GM manually rebuilt my character. And one of the things they didn't give me back was my faction kills, and another thing they didn't give me back was my achievements. So like my playtime achievements were reset, and that pissed me off. Yeah. I had to keep contacting them. It was funny. It was funny in a not funny sort of way. I had to contact them, and I had to be like, hey, I remember you had to rebuild my account. I'm missing some stuff. And they're like, all right, we'll fix it. And a couple of weeks later, I was like, hey, I'm missing some stuff. And they're like, we'll fix it. And then one time I contacted them, they're like, look, make a list of everything you're missing, because this is the last time we're going to go in there and, this is the last time we're going in there and fixing it. And my response was, bullshit, it's the last time you're going in there and fixing it. It's your fuck up. You're going to keep fixing it until till we get it right. And sure enough, they went in there a few more times. Yeah, you can check minimum playtime. If anybody knows which category the achievement's in, I don't really feel like achievement. I don't feel like going achievement diving. But there's an achievement that'll tell you when you get X amount. So general... miscellaneous 124. Where is the... Yeah, I'm almost at 8,700 hours. I'm at 7,762 on my second time around. That's a disgusting amount. But yeah, I'm at 7762 on my second time around. So, yeah. I mean, I used to play this fucking game 6 hours a night in 6 hours a night and like 12 on weekends. When I teleworked, it was amazing. I fucking teleworked in the snow. Ohio has this weird law. You can't drive during snowstorms, like, at all. Like, they literally tell you, like, when you get there, they're like, make sure you always have food in your house, because you will get a ticket for being on the road. And nothing's going to be open because nobody can get to work, because it's against, if they declare a winter advisory or some bullshit, then you have to be on your way home from work, and you better be traveling in the direction of your home, because they're not gonna take that bullshit either. I mean, I got stopped for that. I was on a telecon with probably Australia or Japan or something, and I didn't realize we were under a weather advisory. I was driving home in the middle of the night, and it was fucking shitty. It was bad. Cop pulled me over. Hey, look at that. Cop pulled me over and said, where are you headed? I'm like, I'm headed home. He's like, where do you live? I was like, over in Fairview Heights. And he's like, all right, get home. We're under a winter advisory. I was like, shit, are we? Didn't know. What are you doing out? I'm wearing a military. Wearing a military uniform, like I'm coming from the base. He's like, you mission essential? I'm like, no, I was on base making a phone call to probably Japan, to be honest. I was like, I work 24 hours a day. I'll work anytime I need to go in and make a phone call, I gotta go make a phone call. He's like, yeah, we're under a winter advisory. I was like, shit, wasn't snowing when I went to work, boss. Like, go home. But yeah, trying to keep things open. Yeah, I see so many accidents, and it's like where I live now. We don't try to leave. We don't try to leave if the weather is shitty, because we're literally in the middle of cornfield. I tell people people laugh at me. There's literally a river. There's a house across the street, and then it backs up to a river, and then to our south, our north, and our east are cornfields. We don't get plowed. They come out here when, like, they have nothing else to do. Like, our town will do the main street so the ambulances can get through, but that's about it. But anyway, kind of been talking about would a Archeage Fresh Start server work? And then we talked about last week, what are all the things that you'd have to do? And if you're gonna do a Fresh Start server and you don't change it, you're literally asking people to spend about $100. Because that's about what it's gonna take. Well, what'd we say? 50 to 60? Yeah. 50 to 60 to buy the stuff that they're gonna need. Because as we've said, you don't necessarily need Patron to play Archeage. It helps, but what you need is storage. You need storage to play Archeage. I don't think you can play Archeage without storage. Yeah, inventory space. Could you fix Archeage with instance departments, and so people could have an otherworldly storage chest? Or could we, like we said, I think it was the last show we said, could we have an otherworldly storage chest built into the warehouse that, you know, you have a spot for 50 bound, you have a slot for 50 anything, and then as you increase the warehouse size, you basically get 2 for 1. You get 10 slots for general storage, you get 10 slots for bound storage. Because for the most part, people are like, oh, well then people wouldn't need to get Patron because they wouldn't need to put down chests. But why are you penalizing people for how many bound items there are? I mean, bound items already fuck the player economy. So, and then, you know, somebody asked me, I felt so bad the other day, man. Somebody said, well, can I get into Archeage as a free-to-play player? And I was like, you can, but you're going to be working your ass off. Because, man, you got to remember, they can't use the auction house. So they got to do all their initial money has to be earned through player trades. Unless somebody's nice enough to give them an auction house license. I mean, it's brutal starting off this game now. Before, when it was like 1,600 gold for Patron, that wasn't too bad. Now that it's almost 4,000, that's pretty rough. Old Fat Gamer, the local farmers around near plow. Yeah, they're not allowed to do that here because they get like penalized if they tear up the street, which sucks because you know, the city can't get around to it. We're a really small town. I think we have one snowplow, and they do the two major thoroughfares north south. They do the one. We're literally a main street. We have Main Street, so it's a pain in the ass. Still doable though. I have a miner's house. Yeah, look at what you just said though. You have a miner's house. You already have Patron. You already have infrastructure. You already have the major house that helps provide. Like, you have the easiest one button push. You have the easiest one button push gold generator. So, yeah. You probably built that during an era where Apex were cheaper. So you were able, like, remember, there's some people, like, my first couple of months, I was buying Apex for, you know, 200 gold. You're playing Fresh Start? Well, did you make your money at the beginning of Fresh Start? $1.4? Oh, that's 2.8. I mean, 2.8 is still a huge... I mean, let's be honest, though. 2.8 is still a huge difference from 3.6. I mean, you gotta remember, that first patron, once you have patron, it's easy to keep patron. Getting patrons hard. Getting that first patron is hard. So you started playing You started playing after the economy was already fucked, really, is what you're saying. Yeah, because at first, the economy on Fresh Start got fucked right away because of family fishing. And people, I mean, there's people I know that have 400 Apex on Fresh Start, just waiting for, they're just waiting for, waiting for mergers to happen. See, that's where another one of those things that I said Tryon needed to do when Tryon was still in charge. And if they had done this, it would have helped stop the stockpiling from happening. They should have done region NA2, region EU2, and had they done that, people would have, like, they should have said outright from the very beginning, we are never ever going to merge these servers with the legacy servers. So legacy players don't come here and buy up all the Apex, because you're never going to be able to move them over to your other account. Had they done that, it would have helped. It would have helped preserve the integrity of the server a little bit better. But they didn't do that. And such, they got, and such, the economy got completely trashed. AOC live stream this week? No, the AOC live stream was last week. It's always the last week of the month. It's supposed to be the last Friday of the month, but sometimes they end up having to shift it a little bit. But this dude's literally stupid. That dude literally got seen, and first of all, he did no damage. That was horrible. Like, dude, just uninstall. If you can't do more damage than that, jumping somebody out of stealth, then you have a problem. Yeah, that was pretty sad. Like, literally, I'm gonna hopefully not have rolled off his damage. Pinned down using 5,000 damage. How do you have a 12k gear score and only do 5,000? He did 20,000 on Shadow Smite. See, but this is the problem. Where is that? Attacked using Shadow Smite and caused 20,000 health, critical damage, 59,610 absorbed. That ability needs to get nerfed to shit. We're gonna nerf healers. We're gonna nerf healers by 30%, self-healing, but we're not gonna touch Shadow Smite. I mean, that makes sense, right? Do we have a rough idea of the XP needed? It's like 1.8 million, I've seen. It's like 1.2, 1.8 million. But yeah, I would love to be streaming Ashes. If I had to stream Ashes, that would pretty much close up the Archeage for me. What I mean by that is, oh, there's Kia. This fucking guy, ridiculous. And I'd shoot him in the face with a howitzer. He'll just, whatever. 50 damage. Okay. Yeah, and I don't understand. Kia, you take no damage, man. It's ridiculous. The amount of physical defense you have is, like, unlawful in 37 states of the country. Kia was posting his physical defense for a while. It just kept getting bigger and bigger and worse, and you're like, are you serious right now? Like, how much physical defense does this guy need? But yeah, there are people that have higher than you. I mean, I don't understand. And that's talking about game balance. It's pretty clear that over at XL that they have 4 teams, and those 4 teams don't talk to each other. We're going to nerf healing, but we're going to continue to make melee more and more powerful. Well, if you're again, why are you balancing both sides of the equation at the same time? I mean, simple math tells us that we do 1 operation per line. We do 1 operation per line. So if you want to nerf healers, not that I understand why, but if you want to nerf healers, nerf healers. With that said, if you're going to nerf healers, cool. But if you would be so kind, then let us see where healers are before you decide to buff melee. But if you're going to buff melee, then why are you nerfing healers? And don't forget, melee have the option to use a weapon type. Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, I would have been okay, honestly. I would have been fine if they nerfed healing by 30% across the board, and then they gave healers 10% more damage output. You wanna fix the problem? Fix the problem. We're fine. We're fine. I have no problem with nerfing healing. I have a huge problem with nerfing self-heals. And I think a lot of other healers are gonna have this problem as well. It's cool that I can heal you, but it sucks that I can't heal myself. Like if he had attacked me, if that guy had attacked me when I was you know, by myself, and then my self heals were nerfed by 30%, I can't defend myself. It's like I said, you if you put it in terms like this, we're not gonna nerf your raid damage, melee users. But if I have you targeted, you do 30% less damage to me. People would be like, that's fucking stupid. So is self-healing nerf by 30%. I'll be honest, I am here for Archeage because it is, you know, it is an entertaining game. I kind of know enough about it to talk about it. But if Ashes of Creation were to pop out, you know, a playable MMO, that's where I would be. If you have the weapon you want, but all 3 stats are shitty, just farm a new one. You ideally want to have 2 stats when you open it, that are the ones you want. It's not a huge deal if the attribute stat isn't the one you want, but it is definitely a big deal if you don't have the stats, the other 2 that you want. Yeah, Sun to Earth, Ancestral now you do 30% more damage. Come on. Haha, bitch. Haha. Yep, I am a dirty clicker. When I play healer, I actually have retaught myself to I've taught myself to use the G600 for mage and archer and stuff, but I can't do it yet for vitalism because I had to be a clicker for so long. I just think that guy is funny that he's that bad, and then I think he's got to be pissed right now because he ended up I ended up in the tree. Sounds like you need to reroll. You want to play a paladin? Think XL might improve things for hybrid. No, man. If they're nerfing pure classes, if they're nerfing the pure heal class, then you're gonna get nerfed even worse. Because remember, I'm gonna take a 30% self heal nerf, but everything I have is in healing. You're gonna take a self heal nerf, but you don't stack the same way a healer does. Yeah, XL is pretty much saying, be melee or die. Or be, actually, what it becomes is it becomes be mage or die, or be melee or die. I just think it's funny. If I didn't have the farming Holy Bolt in, I would have killed him. But this Holy Bolt doesn't do shit against other players. What do you mean out of view? Out of here. It actually takes me longer when there's somebody out here hunting because no, I don't want to be in a party with you. Get out of here. Get out of here, Snows. By the way, Snows, Gizmo loves that Stitch. She totes that thing around. Oh man, it was so funny. She brought it to Becky's Big Stitch, to Timir's Big Stitch. She brought it down and she's like, medium stitches lonely. So she brought it down. Oh no, dude, I'm okay. It takes me a touch longer. Takes me a touch longer because I have to keep my shield in. Because without my shield, I'll get... That one shot would kill me without my shield in. Yeah, the big problem is that Hiram gear is the reason why the game has gone so fucking stupid. It is not healers. It is why are melee angry? Because they fight plate mages. Well, why did you even allow intelligence on plate? Why even allow it? You know? Why not just make it so that... Haha, he ran into Kia. Oh, he got me. Now he runs away from Kia. Oh, Kia gonna get... Oh, he ran away from Kia. That's funny. I don't know what Kia's playing today. I should have already worried about keeping myself alive. I was worried. Oh, Kia got him. Haha. What are you running, Kia Abolisher? Kia IDs as an armored truck. Yeah, I know. No shit, man. And, you know, he running Abolisher and Blighter. The thing I'm still compensating for is that when I'm farming and I have the farming Holy Bolt in, I really have to pay more attention to keeping myself alive, because the farming Holy Bolt does less damage, so it returns less life. Could just as easily pop in the other Holy Bolt. As of right now in Ashes, the idea is that corrupted players have a chance to drop equipment carried items. Correct. The only way you drop gear is if you're corrupted. If you're not corrupted, you can only drop gatherables. Yep, Ashes of Creation. Ashes of Creation is the other game that I follow and I make content for. Mainly over at Intrepid for Ashes of Creation, I'm an official content creator. So they get the majority of my time. But now that we're in a lull again, and that's okay. I mean, they are busy building a game after all. I think people forget that. I'm so tired of the people saying, well, Ashes is just like Star Citizen. Star Citizen did its Kickstarter 2 years before Steven even thought about putting together his studio. So, I mean, there is a huge difference. But if people want to be like, oh, it's never going to come out, you can have that opinion. Do I see Ashes of Creation as the next game for Archeage players? I do. In fact, I did a video called Ashes of Creation is the next evolution for Archeage players. Right now, honestly, this is the best game for people who like open world PvP. People who like PvP are going to like Ashes of Creation, because there's a lot of open world PvP. Is the gear gonna be static and plain? No, not at all. The point is that you're not supposed to run around PKing. You PK when the opportunity arises and it's worth the risk. But no, the gear is gonna be very, very intricate. There's gonna be a very robust crafting system. The point is for you to not turn the game into a murder box. But if you want to turn the game into a murder box, you go right ahead. You want to risk your gear, you go right ahead. It might be worth it to you. I've written a couple examples. Like, people want to talk about polarized. Well, no one's ever going to flag. Yeah, they are. Because not everyone's going to... I mean, I wrote examples and I did videos to show you the examples of when people are going to flag. Is the combat going to be the same as the BR? The BR is only like 30% of the combat. The Alpha Zero was tab. The Battle Royale was to get hitboxes right. I mean, people keep judging the whole game based on the Battle Royale, and they need to stop that. What they showed you was one piece of it. And it's honestly the game... The hardest piece of action combat is getting the hitboxes right. Because you guys know this, if you've played action combat games, you don't want to... You don't want to play a game where the hitboxes are shit, because then everybody makes a tiny ass little character and they jump around you like, little sprites, and because their hitbox is so small, you can't hit them. Let's see. Little Yodas, thank you. My brain was trying to get there, but like I said, I had a bad morning dealing with stupid people, and my brain was just like, dude, it's fuck it Monday. If you have 3 reasons to say fuck it before 8 a.m., you have the right to go back to bed, and nobody has the right to judge you. They're not going action. They're going hybrid. So 75% of one, 25% of the other. But when I interviewed Steven, I said, what do you consider action? What do you consider tab? And he considers ground reticles to be action because they're not on a target that you tabbed to. So that brings up hope for people. That brings up hope for people that want to be more closer to 100% tab. You're going to be able to do that. I mean, because remember, I'm going to show you guys an example. This right here is not a tab target skill. That's not tab. Yeah, if you use that definition, unfortunately, there's no industry standard definition for what is action, what is tab. And I got so tired of talking about it with people. I finally when I interviewed Steven, I said, hey, what do you mean by action? What do you mean by tab? Because even in class for game design, the professor was literally like, we don't have standard terms. We don't have standard terms for things. We have, oh, it was the mole up there. We have guidelines. Even though the professor has a definition of what alpha is, he says, I can't make everybody in the game industry use the same definition. If everybody in the industry used the same definitions, it would certainly help the player base. And I'm kind of on a campaign right now. I'm kind of on a campaign right now where if you don't agree with something that somebody is saying, don't white knight it up. Stop and think for a second. Is what the person's saying, is what the person is saying, are they factually correct or are they factually incorrect? If they're factually correct and it's based on an opinion, don't stand in their way between them and the developer. Let the developer answer. Now, if the person's factually incorrect, correct their mistake and then get out of their way and let them ask the developer if they still have questions. What do I mean by that? I'm not going to white knight up for Ashes of Creation. If you say, I don't like this, I'm going to say, all right, you don't like it. There's the man up there. You go get your answer from him. But if you were to say, I don't like the fact that Ashes of Creation has a box price plus a subscription fee plus a cash shop, I would say, hold up a second, man. I don't know where you got that box price thing, but that's factually incorrect. There's no box price. And then the person's like, oh, okay, well, I'm good now. If the person's like, well, I still don't like there's a monthly sub and a cash shop, all right, well, then go talk to him. I can tell you all the reasons why if you want to know. But if you want to go bitch to somebody, go bitch to him, because I can't change your mind. Imagine a game having a box price, a sub fee, and a cash shop. You mean WoW or Final Fantasy? Yes, Ashes of Creation will have active farming, active life skills. I highly recommend, I'm gonna, let me kill this damn wolf. And then, I'm trying to see all the comments come in. I don't know why I'm about to do this because the link's down below, but if you have, there's your general Ashes of Creation education. You'll also find it down below on the stream. I've written a lot of stuff about it already in my usual educational format, so answer a bunch of questions. If there's something that I don't have covered very well, let me know if you've got questions. That leads me to generate content, because if one person has a question, chances are more than one person has the question. So I love generating content, especially this week. My silly wife, no other parents signed up to parent the book fair, so my wife was like, I'll just do every day. And I'm like, but we have Final Fantasy to play. And we're finally at the part where I don't know the storyline. But nah. She's off doing that PTA thing. So yes, legendaries and unique items. Legendary in Ashes of Creation does in fact mean legendary. There is a phrase called legendary. There is a phrase called legendary unique. Legendary unique means there will be exactly one of them. Is a hot dog a sandwich? No. A hot dog is not a sandwich. Because a sandwich is a meal consisting of contents surrounded by bread. A hot dog you can see, and it's not surrounded. But no, I do not consider a hot dog a sandwich. Because I can see the meaty part. Let's see. I'm guessing uniques aren't going to drop randomly. They'll probably yep. There. The way it works, I'll give you a real quick rundown. Is, say you get to the end game raid. Say you configure your server in such a way that the end game raid dungeon becomes available, and you go in and you kill Jalan's Black Dragon. Well, when you kill Jalan's Black Dragon, it doesn't drop the Dragon Eye. The carcass remains there as a harvestable husk. Unless you bring a master miner with you, you can't process the eye. You can't process the eye out of the husk. So now you have to have somebody that has master mining and that can clear the raid and harvest the eye. Then you have to take it to a master processor. Then you have to take it to a master crafter. If you can see the meat of a sandwich, if you hold it... Come on now. I mean, you can see it. You're looking down at it. It's... When you look at a normal sandwich, you see the meat around the edges, not straight down through the top. When's Ash's release date? They don't have one. Which is much to my having to beat up on Steven. They made the right decision not giving dates anymore. Don't give dates if you can't meet them. Oh, there you go, Warhead. That's a good. There you go. A hot dog bun is one contiguous piece of bread. Sandwiches are by definition require 2 pieces of bread. I could definitely understand that. Wait a minute, hold on. Hold on. I'm trying to think. Wait a minute then. There's a problem. There's a problem with your sandwich definition. Then a foot-long sandwich from Subway doesn't qualify as a sandwich. Because they take your loaf of bread and they cut into it and they stuff everything into it, but it's not 2 pieces of bread. So what you really have is you have a Subway hot dog. Yes, a hamburger is actually a sandwich. It's the Hamburg sandwich. So if a person who carries the sword of 1,000 truths is dumb enough to become corrupted, can said person drop that sword? Yes. If you are dumb enough to get corrupted while you have a legendary on you and you have really shitty RNG, yes, a single death can cause you to drop an item. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But is it possible? Yes. It is possible that your dumbass went corrupted while you're carrying a legendary weapon and you dropped it, and then some random passerby picked it up, and guess what? Unless that random passerby were to go to corrupted, there ain't a damn thing you can do about it, because you cannot force steal gear from anybody who doesn't go corrupted. So yes. BDO, I didn't mind the combat in BDO. I'm not a big fan of action combat, but I didn't mind BDO for the combat. I minded BDO for the non-free player economy. I hate getting items that I don't need but other people could utilize, and then I can't trade them to them. I just hate that system. It feels like I'm not playing an MMORPG. It feels like I'm playing a single player. It feels like I'm playing a single player experience game with other people, sharing a server with other people. If you know what I'm saying, like, if I can't directly trade you, if I can't give you stuff, then why are you there? Why are you there? Yeah, I loved me some Diablo 2 as well, and I used to drop people gear. You know, you go in and be like, oh, here, I picked this up. It's not for my class, it's for your class. Let's see. Unique items that in Zerg guilds with streamers, they get it and quit usually. Yeah, it's gonna just be gone. That is a question that has been asked, and they're not gonna give an answer. Because, you know, you don't give answers to everything right away. But again, that's one of those, when you don't give an answer to something, is it because you don't want to give the answer or because you haven't thought about it? It was like the original Star Wars The Old Republic. Remember, you were only going to have a couple of people on each server that could learn certain world boss drops, the recipes, and then once that drop had been gotten a couple of times, it was no longer on the boss's drop table. That sounds great until you think about it. I had a couple of those world boss drops for lightsaber creation, and then I quit the game. Does that mean that server can never get those items because I no longer play? So I have the legendary Great Club of Resurrection, and I quit playing. Does that server deserve to never see that item again? Now, some people would argue, yes, because I got it and I paid an account to have it, so I own it and I have the right to come back anytime I want and have access to it. The other line of thought is, well, it obviously was created that way for a reason, and now what if there's content that can't be cleared because that legendary is in the hands of somebody who doesn't play at all? You just run into different lines of thought there. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm definitely never in favor of taking shit away from players that they earn. I love the idea of unique legendaries. It's gonna happen in Lineage 2. People would go red with epic gear and they just drop epic jewels. You just need to piss them off enough to become red. You know what? That is gonna be an interesting theory, because there are gonna be people who do get mad. There are gonna be people who get mad that other people won't flag back as combatants. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, just because I love to piss people off. If you attack me in the open world and I'm not carrying anything, if I'm not carrying anything that I give a shit about, so if I haven't been out gathering like diamonds or dragon seed or, you know, gold ore or something really valuable, and you attack me, if I'm not in the mood to PvP, get fucked and have corruption. I mean, that's just the way it is. If I want to go PvP, I'll go to PvP events. If I'm in the mood to PvP, I'll PvP. If I see you attacking somebody and you're corrupted, I may attack you if I'm in the mood to. If I'm not in the mood to, and you attack me, get fucked. Have the corruption. Because then anything you take from me, I know you drop 3 to 4 times as much when you get killed. And plus you might drop your gear. It was the same thing I told people in Archeage. Now it works even better, because now in Archeage you kill somebody, you flag, you kill one person, you know, they get a trial. I tell people all the time, I'm like, in Archeage, I used to tell them, karma bomb them. Just keep letting them kill you. What does dying in Archeage mean? It means a trip to the Nui. Who gives a shit? Now, in Ashes, you won't see a lot of karma bombing, because every time you die, you lose, you don't lose XP. You gain negative XP as well. And that's the thing I think Archeage needs to realize. Like I just said, there is no penalty for dying in combat in Archeage. So the game is designed around a Zerg rush, just a zombie Zerg rush. You die, get up, Zerg back. Whoever has more, whoever has the closer Nui is usually going to win the fights. Because of how the game works. Why would I not? Why would I not just keep throwing bodies at you? Minus 10 honor though. Yeah, but minus 10 honor, but for every person you kill, you get 40 honor. You're not even... Why are you even up there? Every person you kill, you get 40 honor. As long as you're not under whatever the fuck it is. What is that called? I can't think of the term. Anybody know the term? For that like 3-minute debuff when you've been killed in PvP? No, not rebirth trauma. That one I know, but there's another leech. Thank you. Fuck. What the fuck? A leech debuff. You can't earn as much honor, and you're not worth this. Well, you're still always worth this much honor, but you can't gain honor when you're under it. I mean, that's a stupid mechanic anyway, let's be honest, but it exists so people don't generate honor out of nothingness. But don't like, we don't know if there's a cap on negative XP. I don't think there is. You can never de-level, but you can certainly accumulate an awful lot of negative XP. A lot of people don't like negative XP. You prefer a debt system where... I don't like negative XP. I prefer an XP debt system where you advance, but at 1/3 the rate until your debt is cleared. Yeah, but the problem is that doesn't work at max level. I mean, if you're level 41 and you die... Oh, you're level 41 and you just put on all level 41 gear. And then you die and you de-level. That sucks, because now you gotta go and double back and go get your level 40 gear. Yeah, you don't get negative XP. Well, in Archeage, you don't get negative XP. In Archeage, you straight lose XP. In games where you get negative XP, if it's negative XP, you don't de-level. If it's negative XP, you have a debt you have to pay off before you can move forward. Or you have negative XP. How does negative XP work at max level for Ashes? That's simple. So, say you have 100 strength. I'm just making up numbers. Say you have 100 strength at level 50. And now you have negative XP. You no longer have 100 strength. You have 98 strength. You get more negative XP. You have 97 strength. Say you had 98% accuracy. And you get negative XP. Now you have 97% accuracy. The more negative XP you accumulate, the lower your stats and skills and attributes in gear works. So what happens is eventually you're still wearing level 50 gear, but you're no longer functioning as a level 50. Yeah, don't die then. Yeah, that's a... You know, if you don't make death meaningful, then people just Zerg zombie rush. People just keep throwing their heads into, you know, they just keep throwing walls of bodies into things. But if you're going to start not being as effective, then, you know, I mean, you can stick to AA, but AA is gonna pretty much not have any open world PvP here soon. I mean, other than Abyssal, Kraken, Thunderwing Titan, the occasional world boss grab ass, and then when Black Dragon comes out, and then every 3 weeks a Castle Siege. I mean, there's no open world PvP anymore because you don't get your gear from open world PvPing, and you don't really make your money through open world PvPing. You make or open world activities. Nah, man, every server's told me the same. The amount of PvP there is just gone. I mean, you gotta remember, when I say open world PvP, I talk year 1, month, you're smashing people daily. No, you're not. Nowhere near the levels that we were at launch. Nowhere near. I mean, it used to be at launch, I could go out there, I could steal a merchant ship, bring it back, turn it in, go back out on the ocean, find another one, steal it. I mean, the very fact that they took the majority of cross-ocean trade out of the game took a huge chunk of PvP out. I mean, yeah, you might be having open world PvP, but if it's not during one of the pre-designated events, I mean, what's it for? It's just go out there. Again, it's random rabassery. Go out there, have a good fight in Diamond Shores. Yeah, people are doing sunken ships. I mean, you find those occasionally. You can jack those occasionally. But, I mean, it's nowhere near. Yeah, 1/10 is, yeah, 1/10 is generous. I mean, shit, man, I used to laugh. I miss Squanky and the shit that he pulled. I used to sit there. I fucked with him so much. I would tell people, because I had on my side machine, I had 4 accounts up. I had 4 accounts up on my side machine, and I had boats in places where they couldn't be stolen or destroyed or disrupted. And I would just sit there with my alts on the radar, and I had my coastal monitoring system, so I could get to places quickly. I knew where merchant ships were. And I would teleport over to, like, you know, an island house, and, you know, jack people's ships. But it's funny because I'd see Squanky out there, and I would... Oh, is it Red Dragon time? Raid, recruit. Instance. Raid. Recruit. Red Dragon. There we go. I'd see Squanky out there, so I'd buzz his balls, and I'd be like, Squanky's out! People would be like, shut up, man. Shut up. I'd be like, Squanky's just off the coast of, it'd be like, Squanky's just off the coast of Souls Reed, he's in the middle of the Sound. Squanky's just off the coast of Two Crowns, he's just north of his island. Like, shut up. Is there any reason to be corrupted in Ashes? Positive for the corrupted player aside from jacking all the mats? Well, first of all, they don't jack all the mats. They only jack a percentage of the mats. Yeah, I mean, I do an example in my video where I say you're out there in the wild and you see a guy harvesting diamonds, and you can't harvest diamonds, and you know diamonds are priceless. Well, if you're smart and you're out there going and stealing from people, then you know he's got a sack full of diamonds. Go and attack him. If he fights back, you're going to take a percentage of his drop. All right? If he doesn't fight back, you're going to take a bigger percentage of his drop. Give me 1 second. Let me walk real quick. I didn't realize it's been 2.5 hours. Good show this morning. I'll be right back before I have to sit here and shoot a big dragon with a harpoon. Oh, okay. Oh, by the way, you guys know I'm a big fan of Mr. J. I got Mr. J hung back up behind me, got the shelf up. Absolutely huge fan of the Joker. If you guys haven't ever read it, there's a great book on the Joker and Batman. It's called A Dark and Stormy Night. It's Batman and Psychology. Highly recommend it. Let me see. Yeah, diamonds are common as dirt. De Beers Diamond Cartel keeps prices artificially high. That is true. That is a real world fact. That is a real world fact. But so what's the positive for a corrupted player? Well, number one, got to remember, corruption only happens when you attack somebody in the open world, not at a PvP event. All you got to do is go to jack people's caravans. If you jack people's caravans and stuff, then there's no corruption. So that's not a problem. Let's see. Gamigo needs to do some magic and bring in 500,000 players. The game right now wouldn't support 500,000 players. Europe apparently is still having problems. Europe is having problems with their servers, and I busted Gamigo's balls on Friday. I mean, that's probably why I'm never going to be a content creator for most companies, because most people don't have the patience to deal with my bullshit. And when I say my bullshit, it's the fact that I'm going to say what needs to be said. If you're having emergency maintenance that you knew 3 hours ago, that's not emergency maintenance. Emergency maintenance is unexpected. The word emergency means unexpected. So if you knew about it 3 hours ago and you're... Now, there is a difference between saying we're having emergency maintenance, the servers are coming down, and putting up an announcement that says, hey guys, we've identified a problem, and in 3 hours, we're going to be taking the servers down. In 3 hours, we're going to be taking the servers down because we're getting everybody, everybody's coming in, and yeah, exactly. Relabel it to urgent maintenance. Okay. I will just go be that guy. Let me in as a singleton. Absolutely. I believe that words matter. If it's emergency maintenance, okay, if it's emergency maintenance, it means you didn't know it was coming. Hey guys, sorry that Kadam is down. We just got notified Kadam is down. Kadam is in emergency maintenance until we get it fixed. Hey guys, we identified a problem with the Kadam database. In 3 hours, we're going to have to take it down. So plan accordingly. Don't be on a hauler in 3 hours. It's urgent maintenance. Those are two different things. When you throw the emergency title in front of it, you're trying to say, don't yell at me, don't hurt me, it's emergency, it's for your own good, please don't hurt me. It's bullshit. Who's gonna win, Air versus Ashes of Creation? Air is built on Unreal Engine 3. Air is like coming out like 3 years later than it should have. So Air is already going to be on a dated engine. There is more like 8 years later, true. But if they had 2 or 3 years ago, they would have been at the back end of Unreal Engine 3. It's really kind of hard to, push out a game that's on Unreal Engine 3 a year after another game that was on Unreal Engine 3 came out and was a total fucking flop. So I don't think Air is going to be very successful. If Air is successful, it is only because Archeage has become less open world PvP and more theme park, and so now people who are looking for the PvP centric game are looking for a new home. That's not saying that Air can't be good. Anything can be good if it's managed right and it's laid out right and it's designed right. And I've heard nothing but good things about Air, but I have no interest in going over to it. Like I said, I am having fun with Archeage still a little bit, hanging out with you guys, answering questions. I am having fun with Final Fantasy XIV. I want to see that storyline. That storyline is very well done. The main quest is very exquisite. If you do a lot of the side stuff, you get a rich history and lore of all the cities and stuff. So I'm for my personal free time, I'm having fun with it. And I'm not making content for Final Fantasy 14. It is my I go there to have fun. I don't go there to make content. It may appear a couple of times in discussion because I can say, hey, this versus that. But I don't want to make content about, you know, how to do this, how to do that. Had I been a content creator back when I first played Final Fantasy 14, I may have. But now, my eggs are mostly in the Ashes basket for being a content creator. Let's see. Blade and Soul moving over to Unreal Engine 4. I'm going to be honest, I don't know why. I don't know why. Unreal Engine... I'm sorry. Blade and Soul is kind of past... past its prime. Red Dragon is a faction right now. No, Red Dragon is a... Red Dragon is an instance raid now. There's no PvP in it. I can't do it because we're in the instance, but you come into it via an instance menu. Isn't only the mobile version of Blade and Soul on Unreal Engine 4? Maybe. I don't know. I don't really cover too much MMO news anymore. For them to do a... Well, fuck it. Let's check. I could just ask Battletron. Be like, hey, you were there. Apparently, yes. Apparently they are putting, apparently they're putting Unreal Engine. Oh yeah, they are. There it is. I need my date of birth. Beyond 2018, you'll see a move from the game's engines from Unreal Engine 3 to Unreal Engine 4, which will improve your experience as the Earthen Realms' visual detail and performance capability is greatly enhanced. So yeah. If Ashes of Creation can't handle the max Halcyon war population, I guess it's not my game in large scale naval people. What? I mean, Ashes is based around having 250 versus 250. And their ideal state is 500 versus 500. But here's the thing. This is a big one. And I say it all the time to people. It's great to say that a game is going to be able to do a 500 versus 500 fight. Now, what's under the hood of your computer? Well, I'm running a GTX 1030 or a 1060. All right. Well, you don't have enough power. You don't have enough power to have 1,000 people on the screen. I mean, shit. Even Archeage, where the hell is it? Functionality? Even Archeage caps you at 100 people displayed unless you click it over to default player appearances. In order to get more than 100 people displayed, you have to go to default player appearances. So, I mean, we have this conversation all the time when it comes to PC versus console. If you don't have, you know, a good computer, don't blame the developer for why the game runs like shit. Because the developer is going to aim for a couple of clicks below the best. So they started their development in 2017 on Ashes of Creation, and that's just one that I can talk about off the top of my head. Well, they're obviously not aiming for, you know, cards that were made in 2010. They're aiming for mid-range cards for when they release. Now, what do you consider a mid-range card? And what do you consider playable? I mean, if you're thinking that you're gonna play, if you're thinking that you're gonna play, on max graphics, on a game in 2019, you know, with a shitty card, then you're just being silly. Then you're just being silly. Yeah, 4K at 100 frames, of course. I mean, it's like I try to tell people. People don't even understand the technology that they own, that they buy. Like I have 144 hertz monitors because I see the difference in frames per second. So I can tell. I can see it. I can see it especially when I'm watching a movie or something and I move it off the main screen onto my side screen because I'm working and I need both of my main screens. Tamir noticed it right away. She noticed my eye movement because I had one 144 hertz monitor here and I had a different monitor here, and just working back and forth, she's like, no, I need to get you paired monitors for while you're working because it's causing you issues. But if you have a 60 hertz monitor, should you cap your frames per second at 60? Not necessarily. But if you have a 60 hertz monitor, the most you are seeing the game in is 60 frames per second. So people are like, well, why not cap it at 60? Well, because you can make it smoother if you don't cap it at 60. But your monitor is incapable of showing you more than 60 frames per second. It's physically impossible. It's technologically impossible. So when people are like, oh, well, I want to be able to play this game in Unreal Engine 4 with the bottom recommended spec card for Unreal Engine, and you're like, well, what sort of results are you looking for? They can do it without me shooting for a second. So if you look up the Unreal Engine 4 minimum specs, the minimum specs is a GeForce 470 GTX or an AMD Radeon 6870 or higher for your graphics card. It wants you to have a quad-core Intel or AMD processor at 2.5 gigahertz or faster, and it wants you to have 8 gigs of RAM or more. Okay? But that is, you know, those are the minimum specs. That doesn't mean you're going to be able to take a game and run it on super duper ultra high at 100 frames per second. It's just not going to happen. And people are like, well, they can do it on consoles. Well, first of all, for a long time, consoles were only at 30 frames per second. I just want people to know this. Consoles being at 50 to 60 frames per second is a relatively new development. Now, PlayStation 5, the new Xbox, 50-60 will be the default. But right now, most games are not at 50 to 60 frames per second. Simply because of the limitations of technology. I mean, you gotta remember, at its core, your PlayStation 4 is about a $490 PC. Why should someone develop a completely free-to-play game? Guys who make free-to-play games do this for money and not to give away their time for free. Nobody said they should. The trick is that nobody told them they had to. You don't think that they design free-to-play games to not make money, do you? They call them free-to-play games, but they put pay-to-win features into them because The average consumer is stupid, and the average consumer spends more on a free game than they do on a game that would have been better if it had a sub price. So the question is, how do you design a true free-to-play game? Archeage isn't a true free-to-play game. Archeage isn't a true free-to-play game because several of the features in Archeage are locked behind a paywall. You can't own property unless you have a subscription. So that doesn't make it a true free-to-play game. Makes it, it's a free-to-play game, but it's not a true free-to-play. It's not all feature-complete free-to-play. People going to compare AOC max raid and Archeage max raid in one zone, large-scale PvP. I see lineage. Well, okay. Ashes of Creation can have more people in one zone than Archeage can. Because there's never been an actual Archeage piece of content that had more than 500 concurrent players. Castle Sieges were 140. Halsey Raid. I mean, if you want to say the open world Halsey Raid, well, the open world Halsey Raid at launch ran like shit. When you had 3,000 people in Halsey, it ran like shit. White Mage daily raids, White Mage, West Tyrone Mountains. Sorry, Final Fantasy XI player. WHM is White Mage. Those daily raids can be rough. Yeah, but those daily raids are how many people? And they're how many people, and how shit does the server run? Warhead, if he's here, Warhead can't even do... Warhead can't even do the fucking dailies. Because he crashes. I can't do the dailies not in default player mode because I crash. Bet it's 500 plus? No, I would say 300, maybe? Maybe 300? The East doesn't put 3 full raids together. Some, very rarely do they. Very rarely. Most of the time, they do 2 different 200-man raids. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen 2 200-man raids at the same time in a long time. I've seen 3 50-man raids. I've seen 1 100 and 1 additional 50. I haven't seen 2 full raids in a long time. And even when you do, even when you do, here's the thing. Handling it would mean nobody crashes. And I'm in that raid every night just when it's 100 of us, when I don't see any mention of a third raid, when it's just 100 East going out there. Shit, I see 20, 30, 40 people crash. So I wouldn't necessarily say they're handling shit. Yeah, sure, I can put 800 people in the zone. But if 500 of them crash, how many people did I really put in the zone? Now, a lot of that has to do with the asinine method of them doing the gold claim out of the cash shop. That should just be a fucking quest giver. That should just be a fucking quest giver. Oh, damn it. Why we have to buy stuff out of a cash shop when we know, like we said, that's doing each person. Holy fuck, dude. Calm your Scooby Snack ass down. Every single person who buys those dailies, it's 6 data calls to the server for every person. 3 to buy them out of the cash. Well, it's 9 data calls actually. It's 3 data calls to pull it out of the cash shop. It's 3 to pull them from your market to your inventory, and then it's 3 to activate them, and then it's up to 6 if people have the other ones. I don't have the other 3, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It's up to 6, so 18. It's up to 18 data calls per person And you know, there's people out there doing it on their alt. I don't understand why people are leveling alts with gear other than the lockout now, but they can do them. But I mean, that's a bad way to do it. It's funny that you say your crappy PC handles it. I remember a guy in the original Paradox group, his PC was so shit, right? His PC was so shit that he could drive through every house because the houses didn't load for him. So he didn't ever even try to go around property. It never loaded. So he said, fuck it. He just drove straight from his property straight through. The problem was when he got a better PC, he actually had to learn how to drive around stuff because he kept getting stuck inside people's houses. That was also the complaint people had about latency and fighting Brazilians back on Selfira. It was like trying to fight Nightcrawler because you never knew exactly where he was going to be. It was, he's over here, then the next time you see him, he's over here, then he's over here. And people were like, this is bullshit. Well, guess what? That's bad game design. That's what that is. That's bad game design. I mean, why not put a server in South America for South American players? I'm not saying region lock. I'm not saying region lock out people, although I'd like to. I know it's futile, so I don't even bother. But you know, it would be nice if you know, everybody got a server in their main region, so they didn't have to play with shitty lag. Not paying attention. But you know, with Ashes and Intrepid, what Steven is saying is he wants to do East Coast, Central Time, and West Coast servers, which I really do appreciate because I don't want to have to play on East Coast time or West Coast time. I want to be able to play on my time. Yeah, I'm not really paying attention. I was fucking around. Texas is almost as big as Europe. Korea is the size of one state. South America is physically bigger than North America. Is it? No. North America is bigger than South America. It's like gonna throw me off there. Although on the given map, most people don't realize that the United States fits into Africa 3 times. But yeah, I mean, you get into a situation where Korea has much better internet than the United States does, and then they're such a small ass country that you don't realize that it would be like Korea is the equivalent of a LAN party. Well, why is your ping so low at a LAN party? Because you're all in the same fucking room. Yeah, everybody has better internet than the US. I mean, unfortunately, the way averages work, when you take the United States as a whole, you're absolutely right. Everybody does have better internet than the US because you got Johnny Farmer who's still on dial-up, and he counts as one data point. So even though you got the even though you have people with Google Fiber with blazing speeds, for every Johnny Farmer that literally chops your Google Fiber speed in half, because you average. And there's a lot of people, shit man, I remember there were a lot of people using their Verizon plan. Verizon kind of did a dick move. There were people who were out in the countryside who could get the 4G network on their cell phone, and they had unlimited data, so they didn't even get home internet. All they did was Verizon will send you a physical hotspot, so people would go get their physical hotspot and watch their TV and shit off of it. Well, Verizon was losing their ass on it, because you got to remember, Verizon is paying a shit ton of money to provide that service, but they're not making, like, they charge you $39.99 a month or whatever. It's costing them more than $39.99 a month on you. So they turned around and they said, nope, sorry guys, you can no longer have this package. This package is being discontinued. Well, there's people that are suing Verizon, and the federal government said, you can't take away people's right to the internet. And Verizon was like, we're not. We're telling them they can't have unlimited because we're not making any money. And that's the fucked up part about, the way things work, is you have the government telling a company what they have to do. Well, you have to do this. Well, get fucked. Like, we have a local, I have Charter. I know a lot of people don't like Charter. I know a lot of people don't like Comcast. I get that. When this neighborhood was built, Charter came out and they said, we will lay in the infrastructure so that every house will have access to cable television and cable internet and internet phone. All they have to do is call in and activate it. But every house already is pre-wired. So we don't have ugly ass boxes and lines. Literally every house is pre-wired. But they were the only provider willing to even provide service in this area. Well, Charter incurred that cost, that huge infrastructure cost to do that. And then this little shit ass company moves into town and says, well, we can provide internet speeds comparable to Charter for half the price. And people were like, oh, well, we'll switch to them. And then they went and they said, well, Charter, we have the right to use your poles. Well, luckily, Charter had covered their ass with it, okay? Charter covered their ass with it, and they had, I don't know what they did specifically, but Charter doesn't have to give the small company access to their poles. Every time that company wants to do something with the poles, they have to pay Charter a usage fee. But in the rest of the country, it doesn't work like that. You get one company that spends a couple of $1 million setting an area up to be high-speed internet compliant, and then small shit-ass companies come in and say, well, I have the right to use your pole. And the government is like, well, yeah, they do. How the fuck does that work? And you wonder why, you wonder why shit doesn't get better, because you have stupid rules. Well, it makes it better because everybody has access to high-speed internet. So Charter has to foot the bill, or Comcast has to foot the bill to incur the cost of the initial infrastructure. Yeah, it's locked. That's what it is. They provide until they make their money back. They have to make X number of dollars, and the subdivision people know what that number is. I mean, it's talked about at every homeowners association meeting. Like, we're at this threshold, we're at this threshold, we're at this threshold for these things. But it was like out in Kansas, I remember you could buy your utilities from different companies. And so I was like, okay, so if I buy my utility from different companies, does that mean you guys got to come to the house and make any changes? And they're like, well, no, we just use the other companies. We just use the other companies' poles and gas lines and everything. And so I said to the person who was trying to sell me buying my energy from a third-party source, I said, so I have to buy X number of units a month. They're like, yeah. I said, what happens if I don't use them? They said, well, you lose them. I said, what happens if I use more? They said, you pay a penalty. I said, what happens if my shit breaks? Who fixes it? Oh, the company that owns the lines. You know what? No thanks. I'll just deal with the company that owns the lines then. Well, you could save money. Not by the way you described it to me. People talk about monopolies all the time. Question, how many power companies do you have access to? We only have access to one. When I was out in Kansas, I had access to 9. When I was in Ohio, I had access to 4 electrical and 4 gas. It all depended on how did I want to get my power? Which utility company which vendor did I want to buy my units from? But out here where I'm at, it's real simple. You use who provides the power, or you don't have power at your house. My town used to provide power. My town has a power station. But now they realize that they can't make money with that. Well, they can't not lose money with that. So they got out of that business real quick. Yeah, the state of Florida hasn't allowed that bullshit shenanigans. Yeah. So what the state of Florida said is, you, company A, you have this. Company B, you have this. I'm sure there's probably some negotiation on the borderline where the line probably isn't straight. It's probably one of those gerrymandering lines that goes around certain places. But other than that, you know, they're probably regulated by the state, and the state is probably looking at what they do and saying, hey, excuse me, that's not cool. I mean, I remember living in Illinois the first time around in Commonwealth Edison. They were constantly cool about it. They were like, if your power was going to be out for X amount of time, they would outright tell you, hey, they told you, always keep your grocery bills. Always keep your grocery bills. Because some of you, we're not going to be able to restore your power. There's 6 of you out in a neighborhood. The rest of your neighborhood has power. Sorry, man, we're not coming out to you to try to fix 6 houses while we have 40,000 customers still without power. Now, I come from a neighborhood that actually had neighbors. So we lost power one time. Our transformer on the pole blew, and our neighbors were like, all right, we threw an extension cord over, they plugged it in, and we put all of our food into one fridge, and we didn't lose any food. We threw all that shit into one refrigerator, and they bummed us power. And then when everybody lost power, we were running a generator for our house, and we were bumming the couple of people next to us an extension cord for the refrigerator. We told them, we're like, look, the generator only puts out so much power, and so don't try to be doing, like, you know, we know you got daughters. Tell your daughters they can't, like, plug into the 6 strip to, like, run their hair dryer and shit. Sorry, doesn't work like that. But that was being a community. Now I don't think anybody would trust anybody else. I'm not gonna loan you power. Shit, man. You're gonna be trying to run your TV, your refrigerator, your microwave. Like, you're gonna be a dick about it. Is the game worth playing? If the game wasn't worth playing, I wouldn't be here. I think Archeage is definitely worth playing. Takes a little, you know, takes a little getting used to. It's not the easiest game to jump into at day one. I mean, you got to work for it. You got to work for what you have. But you can definitely have fun with it. You can definitely have fun with the game. Time to get your daughter. Yeah, man, it's already after 11. My contractual obligation for a 3-hour show is over. But I'm having fun today. It's kind of nice not being like nauseous all the time. The medicine that I had to take medicine for 4 weeks. Took my last dose on Friday. And I need to see the doctor again because it didn't exactly fix it. But it made it a whole lot better than it was. But don't ever get old, people. If you're young people, don't get old. And if you're gonna get old, because that's gonna happen no matter how hard you fight it, don't be fat when you get old. Alright? I was fat a year ago, and I'm still fat. I just, you know, not as fat. But make sure that you work out a little bit. How old am I? I am 39. I am 39 and retired. That's part of the problem when you're retired. Getting fat is really easy when you're retired. Like, what are you gonna do? Sit around and eat cheesecake and drink soda? Let's see, any idea when the next big update is gonna happen? When Gamigo has it translated? Gamigo has this really bad habit of not sharing information. It kind of sucks. Nothing you can do about it. Gamigo will share what they want to share when they want to share it. One water company, sure you can go well. New laws mandatory city sewer, no new septic. Guess who else owns the water company? Yeah, we have that problem too. Yeah, Gamigo doesn't. Unfortunately, Gamigo doesn't give dates, which is problematic because, you have no idea what's going on with the Archeage team. What's gonna happen? Here's what's gonna happen. They're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna try to do any content updates or anything until they get the European servers fixed. Because, I mean, you can't have 50% of your servers going up and down randomly all the time and expect that population to not get pissed. I mean, obviously, the European community is going to get angry that their shit goes down for emergency maintenance pretty much every day. So they got to get that fixed first. And then they need to figure out what in the hell the problem with the frame rates are. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm getting 27 frames per second. I don't know what Gamigo did when they took over, but I used to get over 100 frames per second in this game. And then Gamigo took over, and all of a sudden it becomes trash. It becomes trash. By the way, your title, Think Path of Exile, cosmetics, quality of life items only. Well, here's the problem. And I was hoping somebody would say quality of life items. Cosmetics only? Totally cool with. What's a quality of life item? Because what you call a quality of life item, somebody else calls a necessity, and as soon as you have a disagreement about it, Nope. See, you say stash space is quality of life. I call that pay to win. Because the amount of bound items you have becomes a pay-to-win issue. Archeage is a classic example. Archeage, you can play Archeage as a free-to-play player. You don't need to have anything. You don't need to have anything. You don't need to have land. You don't need to have land, but you need to have storage. There's so much fucking one-off shit in Archeage. You know, you run into a situation where you run into the situation of I can't store all of my stuff because I don't have enough storage space. So the guy that has storage space, he can do better. Oh yeah, I mean it becomes a very controversial topic. I still use pay to win. Because that's where people run into the biggest issues. But I'm also a big fan of just pay to. I mean, does it grant an advantage? If it grants an advantage, it's pay to win. The problem is we have so many people that, you know, we spend so much time arguing over what is the win that everybody misses the fact that the developer is busy. The developer is busy with making the money, and we're all squabbling over what's pay to win, what's pay for convenience, what's pay for easy, what's pay for catch up. It's again like why I say get the hell out of the way of the person with the complaint. If you don't think something's pay to win, get out of the person's way. Let the person who wants to make the argument to the developer make the argument to the developer and say, I think this is pay to win. Well, I don't think it's pay to win. Cool, then it doesn't affect you. Get out of the way. And then developers that have to answer to their player bases more than the white knights getting in the way. And if nobody ever gets to the developer with the complaint, if the complaints always stop at the white knights, why does the developer ever have to give you an explanation? Oh, I've got this free group of people who advocate on my behalf. Especially, most people don't want to deal with white knights. Most people find dealing with white knights to be infuriating, so they just stop having their complaint. I'm not winning anything with more stash space. Maybe Johnny Top 1% will benefit from it slightly. Well, then the question is why put it behind a paywall then? Because you got to realize they designed their game around the storage space. Otherwise, why do you need to store so many things? Why make so many unique items? If you don't have a bunch of unique items, if you don't need them, why have them? Because you got to remember, vendor trash is done in such a way that you have to collect it if you want to bring it all to the vendor and sell it. Why do you have completely worthless gray items in games? Why do you have games that make you collect bullshit? Like Guild Wars 2 is a great example of it. Guild Wars 2 has all these bullshit mob drops, okay? And then you get to a spot where you get to a vendor and you sell it, and there's literally a one-button sell that's sell junk. Well, it's no mistake that they designed the game that way. They designed the game that way to force you to buy bag space. You are forced to buy bag space, or you're forced to make a lot more trips to the vendor to sell off your shit. But a person who drops $10 into the game when they start playing, they can just accumulate. They can just accumulate all that bullshit right off the bat. Am I saying that ArenaNet is horrible people for the way they do it? No. Not at all. I think that if you made it a little more fair, I'm not asking you to give away everything. Why the fuck am I getting chunks so bad? It's big. Funky. I'm not asking you to give away the farm, but I am saying that tone down the amount of storage space I need to have just to touch. Crafting is a big one as well. You want to be a crafter, you're always gonna have a completely ridiculous amount of materials. I do agree with you, gaming has gone so corporate, it's no longer the designer's choice. That is a problem. That is a problem, but the problem also exists that, I've said it a couple of times, people don't vote with their wallets anymore. People are so mad at Blizzard about Diablo Immortal, but then the same person less than 3 minutes later says they can't wait for the Warcraft 3 remaster. You understand it's the same company, right? So you're not that pissed. You're not that pissed. If you were that pissed, you wouldn't be playing any Blizzard games. And so many people say, I'm that mad, and I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. But I'm going to play their other game. Well, then you're not that mad. Like I just said, in Guild Wars 2, because I don't have to make as many trips back to the vendor, I buy bag space. The game design is such that my way to make money is tied directly to the size of my inventory. So if I have more inventory, I make more money because I kill more shit and I'm not stuck with the whole, because Guild Wars doesn't exactly have quest hubbing the same way other games do. I mean, it's specifically designed in a way, you go out there, you kill a bunch of shit, you come to another hub, there's another merchant, you sell your shit, you move on. Now, is it really winning? Probably not. But is it definitely an advantage? Sure. Pay for advantage? Yeah, definitely. The mobs could just as easily not drop vendor trash. The mobs could just as easily just drop currency. Is it stupid when a wolf drops 47 copper? Yeah, I think it's pretty silly when a wolf drops 47 copper. What, did he eat a merchant and he had 47 copper in his belly? Did you skin him alive? Yeah, I think it's silly when mobs drop currency. But with that said, if you're gonna make mobs drop vendor trash, that's fine. But then don't have so many different pieces of vendor trash that a rabbit drops a rabbit foot, and a lizard drops a lizard tail, and a deer drops a deer pelt, and then have 57 different pieces of vendor trash. You know what I'm saying? Make it so that it's just, have vendor trash. I honestly wouldn't even care if you just called the shit vendor trash. You're making me carry it, you're making me use a spot in my inventory, but there's no immersion. Now, if it's a crafting material, that's something different. If it's for crafting, then yes. White rabbit tail, brown rabbit tail, purple rabbit tail, mutated rabbit tail, whatever have you. If it's a crafting item, we're good with that. I'm okay with that. But not when it's worth 47 copper. Yeah, and again, if you have 5 tiers, well, you just proved my point for me. If your game design is going to be based around vendor trash, that is completely fine. I have no problem with that. But I have a problem with you designing a system of vendor trash with 5 different levels of vendor trash, but then you nickel and dime the shit out of me for what is a forgiving amount of storage space. Again, I don't care if your game design is based around vendor trash. That's fine. That's cool. That in this magical introductory to game design and development book that I have, they actually talk about it. So it was funny because as I close up the show today, I want to talk about the interview that I did with Steven. Steven said something in the interview with me that I totally got. I don't know if it was actually, I take that back. I'm not 100% sure if it was in my interview. It might have been DCN's. Give me 1 second because I want to make sure that I'm spot on. It might have been DCN's interview. And it's the nice thing about transcripts. Was it mine? It's so odd, man, when he does so many interviews in a week, and you're like, you're like, nope, wasn't mine either. Was it Agalos? Or not Agalos? Smurks? All right. Hold on. Let me see if I asked him direct. I haven't talked to him. Gotta find it. Yeah, on Smurg's show, we'll drop items marked as certificate. Well, a lot of people were like, well, why is it dropping? Why are you dropping a certificate? Why aren't you dropping the rabbit tail? Well, the developer term is certificate. So people were like, well, why doesn't it just drop the rabbit tail? It is. But they're designing it in a way that they're designing Ashes of Creation in a way that mobs will drop not vendor trash. They will drop a gatherable that you then take to different places to turn in for profit. So vendor trash becomes a commodity. That is one way to do it. Archeage doesn't do vendor trash. Everything that a mob drops is tied to their labor system. So their game design is based on driving you to the cash shop to max your inventory. And I have no problem with that in Archeage. Because the mobs don't drop a bunch of useless shit. Now, I do have a problem with it in Archeage when I fuck up and open a bunch of higher infusions when my pants are crystallized. So, which you guys hear, and I really don't want to do this, but gotta do it, right? We gotta do it. We gotta get them fixed. Decrystallization complete. Come on, man. Let's go. Oh wait, hold on. Let's not go. Not go. I think I have quills at home. Hate having to spend labor to open a sack. Yeah, I agree with you. Oh, and the red dragon sack. I'll open that. Probably nothing. It would, you know, I couldn't fathom the idea of actually getting something. Am I on Kadum? Yes, I am. I am on Kadum. I am on Kadum. I am on Groot. Three spinal ridges and a locked gold crate. Yay. A quill. Did I use them all? I had a couple of left. God, these are days. It's days like today that I wish we had EVE Online or Final Fantasy where I could type an item in and it would tell me where it's at. Might as well grab you. Oh, it's right in my damn inventory. %. +5. Come on, let's go. Are all gear pieces and ashes crafted? Not all, to my knowledge. Some will be drops, but most, yes, they want to play your driven economy. 25 + 15. Come on. Go. Will the drops need to be identified before use? Oh, not enough. I gotta go get more. No idea, man. No idea. No idea. Why does life hate me? That's all my scrolls for now, because I burned through 2 quills. That took a bunch of them, but at least didn't recrystallize. So that's good. That's a good day. Your loot is at 65%. Man, fuck Kia. Kia was getting ready to, like, you know, burn down Redwood City, because that's where Tryon's old studios. Fucking Kia had one that what was it, Kia? 4 straight times. It was literally attempt crystallization. That was bullshit. I wish I'd never done my cloak, to be honest, because that cloak was a pain in my ass. I wish I still had the honor from that, but I was gonna go melee. I was gonna go melee, so I ended up leveling up my cloak, and then I realized, like, fuck, I'm not going melee. So I have my strength mitigation done. But yeah, I kind of said fuck it. Okay, I gotta check my email real quick. I gotta check last week's stats. Because like I said this morning, I didn't have a chance to do show prep. I was busy dealing with stupid at the bank. So what was last Monday? Last Monday was the 29th. Promotion. 29th. Yup. Gotta give away an Apex. I thought so. I didn't think so, but I gotta give away an Apex. Running out. I am running out of Apex. I'm gonna keep doing shows until the numbers hit the numbers they need to be. But I do appreciate you guys all hanging out on a Monday. I am trying for Twitch Partner this year, and I am trying for Twitch Partner, and that requires me to do the number of shows I'm doing. But I also have to get my viewership back up to 70 concurrent. 50 is pretty good on a Monday morning. So giveaway. Uh-oh. We are gonna do. Oh, that would have been funny. That would have pissed some people off. I clicked off the wrong button. All of my regulars wouldn't have been able to enter the contest. Your keyword is gonna be nice and easy. Your keyword. Oh, that's not your keyword. Your keyword is 50. Giving away an Apex on the Kadem server. It's your responsibility to be able to come and get it. Make an alt, bring an alt, tell me an alt name. Not my problem. I don't give them away on all the servers anymore because I had a big stack of Apex and I'm giving away the stack of Apex that I have. When I'm done giving away the stack of Apex that I have, I don't know what I'm going to do. But the company actually bought the stack of Apex from me to keep everything legal and above board. I've got to keep fucking records of this shit. You guys have no idea. You guys have no idea how annoying it is to be a small streamer who gives away all his money. Because this isn't a business. This is a hobby. And you got to make goddamn sure that you keep everything lined up. Like, I can't put adverts on my webpage because that's considered steps above and beyond to make additional profit. And I'm like, but I'm not making profit. I'm giving it all away. Write it off. Yeah, I could if I did a business. But the problem is if I do it as a business, and I'll give you guys a couple of more. I'll give you guys about a minute to hit 50 for the write-off. But in order to properly do this as a business, I would have to take a chunk of the money that I have, and I would have to actually start a business. Because I'd have to do a corporation because I can't make money. Or it fucks with my personal finances. And I don't want to do that. And so I thought, just give it all away. It's not a problem. But I found there's a tax loophole that this is my hobby. So if this is my hobby, then there's expenditures for having a hobby, and I don't go out of my way to make money. So since I'm not going out of my way to make money, I actually make no profit, because I don't make enough to cover my expenditures. Anyway, I hear somebody outside. I don't know what time the door guy is coming. So that's that. Anyway, let's see. Oh. Nightbot, there you are. I thought I closed Nightbot again. I got 16 eligible users. I have about 45 seconds till I hit roll it. I'm gonna roll it when my show says 3:35. I went long today. Feeling good today. Granted, now I'm tired, so I'm gonna go, lay down. But thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. I mean, I know the last couple of shows I've kind of bounced out at the 2-hour mark. Medication I was on completely just sapped my strength, just tore me up. Absolutely tore me up. And then today I got the door guy coming. My fucking door got caught by the wind again, and it was a brand new door. And fucking tore the 2 auto closers off. Fucking Lowe's didn't order the right part. The guy came out last week and was like, I have glass for you. And I was like, well, shit. Ookie! Ookie's been around for a while. Ookie, where do you want me to send this Apex? Who am I sending this to? Well, let me guess. You gotta make an alt on Kadum. Ookie. Okay. I'm gonna copy and paste because I can't see shit. Okay. Let's see. Today is Apex. Oh no, this is from Twitch show. 6 May. Congrats for winning during the 6 May 2019 show. Throw this on here. Copy, pasted, good. Send, sent, copy. Screenshotted. That way, if anybody ever comes along and says, you don't actually give them away. Bullshit, I have screenshots. Alright guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Great show today. Hitting 50 people. That means if we hit 50 this week, it means next week to give away Apex, we got to be up and away. That's okay though, because keeping the community good. Want to remind you guys that I do run a Discord. You can get that Discord link down below. Lots of helpful people there. If you've got an Ashes question or an Archeage question, a couple of developers stop by there from other games that they show off some stuff, and we got a couple of other Archeage streamers. I know Warhead streamed yesterday. Unfortunately, I missed it. I didn't have my phone on me. I was busy spending time with the wife, and I got back to my phone after Game of Thrones, and it was like, shit, I missed Warhead. I know Cybot's streaming a little bit again, now a little bit often, so he's a good streamer as well. You can bother those guys, you can ask them questions. And then as always, if you ask me a question in between shows and I have to do research, I do research and I get you your answer. You guys take care. I will see you Wednesday night for night school, and hopefully I have something new to talk about then. I'm out of here.